Chapter 16:16. Not bad, you're much more pleasing to the eye now. Much more handsome, nice hairstyles. Xia Ping clapped his hands, very satisfied with his haircutting skills. Pleasing my ass. What kind of bullshit aesthetic sense was this? He even said this was a nice hairstyle. He was already bald, yet he still had an egg-shaped hairstyle. The warriors of the peacock race all stared at Xia Ping with murderous eyes. The hatred in their hearts couldn't be washed away even by 3 rivers. They would definitely take revenge for shaving their heads in the future. But now they didn't even have the strength to move. Tears flowed from the corners of their eyes as if they had been raped. There was nothing more sorrowful than a dead heart. Let's go. After doing these things, Xia Ping was very satisfied. He conveniently plundered all the treasures on these elite warriors and quickly left this place with Tu Linglong and Qing Luan. After all, he couldn't stay here for too long. Otherwise, the 9-headed bird race, elephant race, and other races would definitely chase after him. At that time, it wouldn't be so easy to escape. Why didn't you kill that group of enemies? If they escaped, I'm afraid they would attract more enemies. Qing Luan asked in confusion. She didn't believe that this human was the kind of person who would be ruthless when it was time to act. But this matter was full of strangeness. What's the point of killing them? Living is the greatest benefit. Xia Ping smiled slightly. The reason why he did this was to gain hatred. If he killed them, who would bring him hatred? Wouldn't it be useless? Forget it. I don't know what you're planning. Qing Luan didn't want to continue pursuing this matter. She said, but there are still many spies around secretly following us. It's not so easy to get rid of them. It doesn't matter. Before, it was just to lure the snake out of the hole so they easily followed us. I have a secret treasure on me that can hide our aura. No one can find it. Xia Ping said lightly. His non-phase mask not only had an effect on himself, but it could even divide a part of its power to help the people around him hide their aura. He believed that once the power of the non-phase mask was activated, no matter how powerful the perception of those spies were, they wouldn't be able to find his whereabouts. Whoosh. In the next second, Xia Ping immediately made his move. He circulated the power of the formless mask, and a mysterious and profound energy surged out, instantly enveloping himself, Tu Linglong, and the Blue Luan. Then they disappeared on the spot. The surrounding scouts were all shocked. No matter how they searched, they couldn't find any trace of Xia Ping and the others. It was as if they had disappeared from this world. It was unbelievable. An hour later, a group of auras flew over from the distance. They seemed to be from the same faction, and they were all elders from the various races. The reason why they had come here was because this group of elders had received news that their clan's juniors were in danger, so they had hurried over to protect them. Who is it? Which bastard dares to hurt my grandson? Come out immediately and accept your death. No mercy. Set up a formation to seal the area and seal the murderer. No one will be able to escape. One by one, the elders rushed over fiercely. After receiving the news that their clan's geniuses were in danger, they were burning with anxiety and rushed over without stopping. Finally they arrived. After all, these geniuses were the future of their race. If they died now, it would be an unbearable loss, and they didn't know how long it would take to make up for it. They quickly arrived at the place where Xia Ping and the other geniuses were fighting. What's going on? Where are the geniuses of my peacock race? Where did they go? Could they have been killed by that vicious monk Wu Wudi? The peacock race's elder arrived and looked around, but he couldn't find the geniuses of the peacock race. Ah, my poor grandson, I didn't expect you to be killed by that vicious monk just like that. Don't worry, Grandpa will definitely avenge you and kill that demonic monk. Another peacock race's elder shouted in grief and indignation. He was in so much pain that he wanted to die, and tears streamed down his face. He thought that all his grandsons were dead, killed by Wu Wudi, and not a single one was left alive. Grandpa, I'm not dead yet. At this moment, a weak voice was heard. Go away, don't call me Grandpa. Who's your grandpa? Don't randomly call people relatives. You vulture, don't think that just because you sound like my grandson, Kongji, I'll treat you nicely. The peacock race's elder sneered, revealing a look of disgust. As a noble peacock, he looked down on bald creatures like vultures. They were dirty and despicable. No, Grandpa, I'm Kongji. Look at me carefully, I'm Kongji. Why can't you recognize me? Kongji was crying. If you don't believe me, I can use the peacock race's mystique. He activated the vermilion bird's demonic power in his body. What? You're really Kongji? What's going on? Feeling that familiar bloodline aura, the peacock race's elder finally believed that this hairless fellow was his grandson. But what was going on? Why were there no feathers? Could this be the art of young people nowadays? But wasn't it a little too avant-garde? Grandpa, it's all because of that goddamn shameless Wu. That bastard harmed others and himself. He wanted to take revenge on society because he was bald. He made us all bald, so he stripped us of all our hair. Kong Ji cried. Grandpa, you have to take revenge for me. If this guy doesn't die, the world won't be at peace. Who knows how many people will be killed by him? His goal is to make the world bald. He's the scourge of the universe. If I meet that bastard, I might go bald too. He'll pluck all my feathers. What? Hearing this, the peacock race's elder's face turned green. Yes, elder, take revenge for us. My antelope race is proud of our white fur. It's the symbol of our race. Now that it's all been plucked by him, he said that he'll use it to make wool clothes. In the future, he'll come back to cut it. This enmity is irreconcilable. Ao, elder, my fire bear race's red fur is gone too. That bastard ripped it clean. He said that he doesn't like our long fur and that it's disgusting. My God, without fur, are we still bears? Can we still resist the cold? He's our fire bear race's greatest enemy. I must tear him apart. I won't rest until he's dead. Elder, that Wu Woody is inhumane. He's jealous of our fur. He's a psychopath. If he doesn't die, the Western universe will never have peace. This is the Baldy's revenge. He's accumulated resentment and hatred for a long time. The prodigies of the various races finally recovered some of their strength. They leaped up from where they were and returned to the side of their respective races' elders, crying about their tragic experiences, hoping that the elders would help them take revenge. Chapter 16-17. Oh my God, you really are Xiongbo. My grandson, how did you become like this? Are you still a fire bear without fur? You're just a meatball, a damn fatty. Even bears aren't as disgusting as you. The fire bear elder exclaimed. He finally recognized his grandson, Xiongbo, as well as the other prodigies of the fire bear race. He would never have thought that his grandson would become like this. Hearing this, Xiongbo cried. He was so angry that he almost fainted. He already knew how sullen he was after losing his fur, but he didn't expect his grandfather to call him a meatball, a damn fatty. How was this a grandfather? Who would say that to their own grandson? Did he even know how to speak? He also thought of his childhood sweetheart, the female bear. If she saw him like this, she would definitely break up with him. Who would date a damn fatty? Thinking of this, he felt even more sorrowful and he started crying. Yang Jian, it really is you. Hubby, you're such a handsome antelope. How did you become like this after losing your fur? A female prodigy of the antelope race also recognized her husband. She was heartbroken and wanted to divorce him. Don't worry, Yang Mei, I'm fine. I'm different from those losers. Their fur was forcefully plucked by Wu Wudi, but I just wanted to change my hairstyle. Yang Jian pretended to be calm and said that this was his new hairstyle. He could lose everything in front of his wife, but he couldn't lose his face. He had to hold on. Really? Does the antelope race have such a hairstyle? It's all bald. Yang Mei blinked. Hubby, this is the trend. It's next year's trend. If it didn't exist before, will it not exist in the future? Even if it doesn't, I can create it and make it popular. In the future, only bald antelopes will be handsome, Yang Jian said confidently. Yang Jian swore solemnly. In order to cover up his embarrassment, he was going all out. As expected of hubby, you're amazing. Yang Mei was filled with admiration. You're too kind. It's just a basic operation. Yang Jian was proud. He had finally won back his face in front of his wife. The surrounding prodigies of the antelope race were speechless. This bald man wanted to create a new trend? Was he crazy? No, could this bastard have really been brainwashed by Wu Wudi and wanted to promote the bald hairstyle in the antelope race? If that was the case, then this bastard was the sinner of the antelope tribe, a true antelope traitor. Many of the antelope race were wary of Yang Jian's thoughts. They definitely couldn't let him get into trouble and get brainwashed by the demonic monk Wu Wudi. The commotion quickly spread, and soon countless people in the Dragonwood secret realm knew about it. Many rumors started to spread, causing many races to panic. Have you heard? That demonic monk Wu Wudi has done something big recently. You did something big again? Which clan's prodigies were killed by him? No, that guy didn't kill anyone this time. However, he was even more despicable than killing people. In the future, the race's geniuses that chased after him were all stripped of all their hair and became bald like him. That's right. It's said that the geniuses of the antelope race, fire bear race, and peacock race have all fallen under the hands of this bald donkey. All the hair on their bodies are gone, and who knows how long it'll take for them to grow back. Oh my god, how can this race look good without hair? That's right. Because of this, a few races' geniuses couldn't take the blow and went completely crazy. Many of the race's elites were discussing, and they were all extremely emotional. They didn't expect that Wu Wuti would do such a thing in just a few days. It was unimaginable and he never stopped. Killing people is just a matter of nodding to the ground, but this bastard is different. He's extremely vicious and kills people's hearts. He plucked the other party's hair and now he's letting them live. Some races' geniuses gritted their teeth in hatred. Someone said mysteriously, according to the grapevine, I heard that he made a grand vow to make the world bald. What bullshit grand vow? How can he make such a vow so casually? Bald my ass. Who's going bald? This demonic monk has gone completely crazy. Fuck this damn bald donkey. He's already bald and now he wants others to go bald with him. What a perverted way of thinking. Think about it carefully. In the entire universe only the Luohan people are bald. Everyone else has hair. One can imagine their aesthetic standards and resentment. They've probably been jealous of our beautiful hair for a long time. Without a doubt, this Wu Wuti is a weirdo born from endless resentment. He's the Luohan people's tool for revenge. We definitely can't allow this Wu Wuti to continue running amok. Otherwise, who knows how many people will fall into his hands. It's fine if they're killed, but they'll also become bald for the rest of their lives. Who can take that? I went to see the fire bear victims just now. Everyone think about it. The fire bears are all ferocious men with nerves of steel, but they also cried. They cried like 10-ton children. It's really sad to hear and tearful to see. I saw it too. After that handsome peacock Kong Ji became bald, his 18 girlfriends broke up with him at the same time. Those girlfriends even said that they were only interested in his beautiful feathers. Now that he's bald, what's the basis of their relationship? Many prodigies of the various races gritted their teeth. They shared a common enemy inside. Their eyes revealed a fierce glint. To be honest, although they were not the victims, they felt the same way. If this Wu Wuti continued to be arrogant, they might be the next victims. They had to be careful. The prodigies of the peacock and fire bear races were examples of what would happen. Because of this matter, many of the Luohan elites were hated by the prodigies of the various races. From time to time they would be attacked. They said that they wanted to take revenge for their hairless brothers and seek justice. Hearing this, the Luohan elders were so angry that they vomited blood. This was simply an undeserved disaster. They did not even know that bullshit Wu Wuti. They did not know where he came from. How could they be blamed for this matter? They explained to the various races that they had nothing to do with Wu Wuti and did not know him. They hoped that they would not disturb the Luohan people's training this time. However, the various races of the Western universe did not care. Since they could not find that sinister little Wu Wuti, they would find trouble with the Luohan people. After all, Wu Wuti was one of them. They could not get rid of him. There was no other way. So the Luohan people and the various races fought, causing the sky to fall and the earth to crack. For a time, because of this matter caused by Xia Ping, the entire Dragonwood secret realm was in chaos. The wind was blowing and the cranes were in a panic. At this time, Xia Ping, Tu Linglong and Qing Wan were heading north, deep into the Dragonwood secret realm. They did not care about the chaos in other places. In any case, they had the formless mask to conceal their aura. The surrounding spies would not be able to find their whereabouts. A day later, they finally arrived at their destination. It was a towering mountain that was tens of thousands of feet tall. We're here. Chapter 16:18. Wait, there's someone up ahead. Xia Ping stopped. He sensed many powerful auras that far surpassed the returning nature realm, even reaching the transcendence realm and the thunder calamity realm. These were the strongest cultivators below the sages. Tu Linglong and Qing Wan also sensed it. They held their breaths and advanced carefully. A few minutes later, they finally arrived at their destination. In front of a mountain there were hundreds of angels. Each of them had white feathers and pairs of wings that shone brightly, looking extremely sacred. The place they were at seemed to have formed a sacred domain. It was surrounded by a ball of white light that had a strong repelling energy. Any intrusions would be detected by the angels. Fortunately, the formless mask had the ability to hide its aura. It was a Kane treasure. Even though these angels had the power of a domain, they could not find Xia Ping's traces. Very strong. Xia Ping's expression was solemn. He sensed that each of these angels was extremely powerful. There were 2 Thunder Calamity Realm cultivators, 15 Transcendence Realm cultivators, and 108 Returning Nature Realm cultivators. No matter where they were in the universe, such a force would play an important role. They could definitely be counted as the elites. Tu Linglong and Qing Wan also sensed the power of these angels. They could even shake the sky. Just the aura they emitted could crush the earth and crush mountains. They felt that they could not breathe in front of these powerful cultivators. It was too stifling. If their traces were discovered by these angels, they would probably be killed dozens of times over with just a thought. Interesting. It seems that there is indeed a treasure here. Xia Ping touched his chin. He did not think that these angels came here to play. They must have found a secret treasure here. That was why they came here. He continued to hide his aura and spy on them. He wanted to know the true purpose of these angels. At this moment, the angels stood in front of the mountain with excited expressions. That's right. Oliver, this is the place. A Thunder Calamity Realm angel said, I can sense the ripples coming from the spatial nodes here. This place must be a hidden half-plane in the Dragonwood secret realm. He looked at the leader of the angels, Oliver. He was also a Thunder Calamity Realm angel. Well done, Harley. Looks like our information is correct. Oliver's eyes shone brightly. We didn't spend so much time and effort to find this spatial node in vain. This is great. It said that there are many spatial nodes hidden in the Dragonwood secret realm. These spatial nodes are connected to various demiplanes. That's Titania's real lair. Angel Harley said, but these space nodes aren't fixed and can move at any time. They also have formations to hide their auras. Even a saint would have a hard time finding them. I didn't expect our luck to be so good. We finally found a space node. The heavens really bless our angel race. He was very excited. Although Titania was a notorious wanted criminal in the universe, he had to admit that she was a terrifying saint. One could imagine just how many treasures there were in the lair of a saint. Even a random piece of scrap dropped would be enough to benefit angels like them greatly and obtain endless benefits. Originally, when they received the news, they did not have much confidence in finding the spatial node. However, out of obligation they still sent a large team to search. They did not expect their luck to be so good this time. In just a few days they found it. If this news spread, it would immediately shake the entire Western universe. Perhaps even saints would be attracted. After all, this was Titania's lair. Who knew what good things were inside? Let's do it. Don't waste time talking. Immediately open this spatial node and enter this demi-plane, Oliver said immediately. He wanted to go in immediately and search the demi-plane for treasures. Although this place was remote and not many people came here, who knew if someone would come after a while. In order to avoid any accidents, he wanted to act immediately. Don't worry, I'll do it now. Angel Harley nodded. He did not hesitate and formed a seal with both hands. Suddenly, waves of spatial fluctuations appeared from his body, and spatial runes shot out one after another. Immediately, a ripple appeared in the space in front of him. It seemed to communicate with the aura of the demi-plane inside. At first, there was only a small black dot in front of him, but it quickly expanded and became a black vortex at least 10 meters in diameter. It stretched across the sky and emitted a profound and mysterious aura. Yes, this is the place. There is indeed a spatial node here. If we can obtain the treasures in Titania's lair, our race of angels will definitely rise and become incomparably glorious. Once our race of angels rises, we will definitely be the rulers of the entire universe. Those filthy humans will have to submit to us and be enslaved by us for all eternity. Yes, in this universe only our race of angels is the noblest. Those humans are all sinful existences. They should be completely purified and sent to hell. Many angels were extremely excited. They stared at the black hole that had suddenly appeared. Even a spatial tunnel had appeared. They were already convinced that this place was indeed a treasure land. In the distance, Xia Ping, Tu Linglong, and Qing Wan also saw this scene. Heavens, there is a spatial node here that has not been discovered by anyone. Tu Linglong was dumbfounded. One had to know that the Dragonwood secret realm had been discovered for hundreds of thousands of years. Who knew how many powerful beings had entered it? Even saints had come to plunder the secret realm for treasures. Over the years, undiscovered spatial nodes were few and far between. But now that one had been discovered, there was no doubt that this was earth-shattering news. If this news were to spread, the entire Dragonwood secret realm would definitely be shaken. Countless powerful beings would swarm over and kill each other, turning this place into a bloody battlefield. No wonder my premonition was so strong. So there is a treasure land here. This must be one of Titania's important strongholds. Qing Wan's eyes flashed. She was extremely tempted to enter this half-plane as well. However, after weighing the strength of the angels, she gave up. Even if she had 9 lives, it would not be enough to snatch food from these powerful angels. But she was also very unwilling. The treasures were clearly right in front of her, but she could not obtain anything. It was very frustrating. Oh look, something seems to have happened. Xiaoping's eyes flashed. He immediately saw that the group of angels seemed to want to enter through the spatial tunnel. But as soon as they got close, the spatial tunnel trembled violently. Immediately, an earth-shattering roar came from the depths of the spatial tunnel. It emitted a terrifying might, stirring up endless fear in the depths of one's bloodline. The surroundings shook violently. Chapter 16-19. The dragon was completely golden, as though it was made of gold. It wore a crown on its head which was engraved with jewels. It exuded an extremely noble aura. The moment it appeared, it swept through the 4 seas and suppressed everything, as though it was an emperor that ruled over everything. At the same time, it stirred up a terrifying gale that blew the surrounding angels away. What? There's a dragon guarding this place? The angels were all shocked and retreated. They hadn't expected this spatial node to have such a protective force. But soon they became excited. The more heavily guarded this place was, the more important it was to Titania. It meant that there were many treasures here, so how could they not be excited? No, it's not a real dragon. It's not even a living thing. It's a talisman called the Primordial Heavenly Dragon Talisman. The eyes of the angel leader, Oliver, shone brightly. He could not suppress the excitement in his voice at all. He looked at the heavenly dragon as if he had seen a peerless treasure. What? It's not a living thing but just a talisman? How is that possible? The angels couldn't believe it. The dragon was just too lifelike. Its claws, scales, and tail were all lifelike as though it was a living thing. Most importantly, it emitted a terrifying dragon might that reached deep into their souls. It was ridiculous to say that the dragon wasn't a living thing but a talisman. Nothing is impossible. Titania is a sage of the dragon race, the strongest of the dragon race. Not only is she a scientist, but she's also a master refiner. The Primordial Heavenly Dragon Talisman is her masterpiece. Oliver knew many secrets and said, it said that there are a total of 3,000 such Primordial Heavenly Dragon Talismans. They symbolize the 3,000 great Tao of the universe and have the power to transform into a dragon. It said that when 3,000 Primordial Heavenly Dragon Talismans are gathered together, it's a true sage artifact. It can rule over a group of dragons and fight a sage. Its power is boundless and can shatter the heavens. However, after the ancient war, these Primordial Heavenly Dragon Talismans were forcefully separated and torn apart by many sages, scattering them to various parts of the universe. These talismans don't have the power of a peerless sage artifact. But even so, just one Primordial Heavenly Dragon Talisman contains power second only to a sacred artifact. If there is a chance to gather all 3,000 Primordial Heavenly Dragon Talismans, you will be invincible. When the angels heard these words and saw this heaven dragon, their moods changed. Looks of greed appeared in their eyes. This was definitely a peerless treasure. He did not expect to find a Primordial Heavenly Dragon Talisman just outside the door before entering the demi-plane. To be honest, even if they could not use the Primordial Heavenly Dragon Talisman, they could sell it for an astonishing price. It was definitely a priceless treasure. Good stuff. Xiaoping was also drooling. In fact, he could see more clearly than these angels. He used the golden crow's eye of hell and saw through the true face of this heaven dragon. Just as the angel leader had said, this heavenly dragon was a talisman drawn on a piece of golden paper. It was the size of a palm, and there was a lifelike heavenly dragon drawn on it. Each line was condensed from the heavenly dragon's blood and contained the heavenly dragon's essence. That was why it contained such a terrifying dragon might. Just such a talisman could make 10,000 dragons submit and grasp the power of the heavenly dragon. As expected of a peerless talisman created by Titania. It had unfathomable powers and infinite mysteries. It was unknown how powerful this Dharma treasure would be if all 3,000 Primordial Heavenly Dragon Talismans were gathered. Tu Linglong and Green Wan's eyes lit up as well. They yearned to snatch this Primordial Heavenly Dragon Talisman immediately. Haha, it's just a Primordial Heavenly Dragon Talisman. It's nothing. Watch how I subdue it. Angel Harley laughed out loud. He immediately wanted to refine this Primordial Heavenly Dragon Talisman. Although the might of 3,000 Primordial Heavenly Dragon Talismans was incomparable and could kill a sage, that was only when all 3,000 talismans were gathered together. If it was just one talisman, its might would be inferior to a lightning tribulation realm. At most, it would be at the level of a Dharma characteristic realm mighty figure. Therefore he was naturally filled with confidence that it would be a piece of cake. Wait, be careful. There's still danger. However, the angel leader Oliver's expression changed as he immediately called out to Harley to stop him. What? Upon hearing that, Harley's expression changed. He immediately looked towards the spatial tunnel and was dumbfounded. In the deepest depths of the spatial tunnel, massive figures suddenly appeared out of thin air. These figures were all heavenly dragons. Counting carefully, including the heavenly dragon that had appeared previously, there were a total of 28. Boom. The moment the 28 heavenly dragons appeared, their auras fused together and erupted with the divine powers of the dragon race. They formed a heaven and earth array that spanned hundreds of thousands of kilometers, as though it wanted to devour the entire world. Oh no, why are there 28 primordial heavenly dragon talismans here? The angel leader Oliver's expression was extremely ugly. They could easily deal with a single primordial heavenly dragon talisman. However, a total of 28 primordial heavenly dragon talismans had appeared. They contained the heaven and earth truths of the 28 lunar mansions and could form a heavenly dragon constellation array. Such might was sufficient to kill a lightning tribulation realm mighty figure. If victory was within their grasp previously, they were now in a precarious situation. They were forced into a desperate situation. Roar! The 28 heavenly dragons roared angrily and attacked the group of angels. It was as though they wanted to annihilate all the invaders and eradicate them completely. All angels, listen up. Immediately set up the array, Holy Light Shield. The leader of the angels, Oliver, shouted. Just as he finished his sentence, the numerous angels formed seals with their hands and spread out to various corners. Massive holy light surged out from their bodies and rapidly gathered together. Countless angel runes appeared and fell like stars. With a boom, a gigantic transparent shield appeared, emitting endless holy light. There were countless angel runes on it, as though they formed an angel chapter. Dong. In the blink of an eye, the 28 heavenly dragons collided. It was like Gonggong colliding with Mount Buzhou. Immediately there was an earth-shattering boom that shook the world. We blocked it. The various angels were delighted. Although the holy light shield was trembling, the heavenly dragons were unable to break through it. However, before they could rejoice for long, the 28 heavenly dragons roared. They twisted their massive bodies and bit down on the holy light shield. Chapter 16:20. Don't use the holy light shield. Since it's useless, let's fight them head-on. I don't believe that we angels can't deal with a bunch of dead creatures, Oliver shouted. Angel race's divine ability, Holy Light Spear. He grabbed with his hand, and the holy light energy quickly gathered in his hand. Countless angel runes twisted and coiled around the white holy light spear like snakes. Swoosh! In an instant, the holy light spear was thrown at a heavenly dragon. It tore through the air like a missile. However, a heavenly dragon wasn't afraid at all. Its body emitted a terrifying dragon might, and a huge claw that contained the power of the heavenly dragon flowed with golden light. With a boom, the two powers collided and instantly destroyed each other. Oliver, let me help you. Harley also made a move. The other angels didn't hesitate and fought the heavenly dragons to the end. They used their angel ultimate skills, and the terrifying holy light divine ability blasted down. They turned into countless streams of light and formed peerless killing formations. Xia Ping felt the killing intent of the angels from afar, and he felt his heart skip a beat. If he stayed on the battlefield, he would probably be implicated and die without a complete corpse. Bang, bang, bang. Under the lead of Oliver and Harley, the angels fought with the 28 heavenly dragons. Balls of white light collided with the heavenly dragons in midair, and there was a series of earth-shattering sounds. Every time the power of the two sides collided, the air exploded, and the surrounding mountains collapsed. Huge craters appeared on the ground, and the airflow spread for tens of thousands of miles. So strong. Tu Linglong was amazed. Although these heavenly dragons were formed from talismans, their actions were no different from real heavenly dragons. They were like artificial intelligence. Apart from having no emotions, their thinking was similar to that of living beings, but they were more rational. Their claws, pounces, and tails all contained terrifying power that could tear a mountain apart. Even a returning nature realm cultivator would be severely injured if they were hit. Moreover, their moves were extremely exquisite, as if they were martial arts masters who had been fighting for thousands of years. The 28 heavenly dragons even merged into one, forming the heavenly dragon constellation formation. They shared their power and communicated with the power of heaven and earth, and the power they released increased exponentially. Even though there were many angels and there were 2 lightning tribulation realm angels, they couldn't do anything to these heavenly dragons. Heavenly Dragon Roar. A group of heavenly dragons worked together and shot out terrifying energy cannons from their mouths at the same time. They contained terrifying destructive energy and were like the Star Destroyer cannons on battleships. Just one blast from the energy cannon was enough to destroy a planet. With so many energy cannons blasting towards the angels, it was as if they were going to destroy everything. Rumble! Instantly, the group of angels were sent flying, and all of them were heavily injured. They coughed up large mouthfuls of blood, and their internal organs were all injured. Many of the angels turned pale and several of their bones were broken. Although they didn't lose all their combat power, they still lost a portion of their combat power. This is a good opportunity. If both of them are injured, we might be able to profit from their misfortune. Seeing this, Tu Linglong rolled her eyes. She felt that this might be an opportunity for her. We might not be able to be the fishermen. Those primordial heavenly dragon talismans are inanimate objects after all. Furthermore, those angels aren't that simple either. They won't be defeated so easily, resulting in both sides suffering. Qing Yuan had been very calm. She didn't believe that this group of angels would come to this place without any trump cards. Is that so? If we plan well, there might be a chance. Xia Ping's eyes lit up as he considered his actions. He wondered if there was a plan to plot against the 2 forces. Bang! Another collision. Both sides retreated hundreds of meters. However, the angels were severely injured and their strength was weak. However, the 28 heavenly dragons didn't have it easy either. They seemed to have expended too much energy, and even the golden light on their bodies had been extinguished. They were like candles and their energy was almost depleted. After all, they were talismans. Without energy replenishment, they couldn't fight a protracted battle. This won't do. We can't continue like this. Otherwise, we will definitely die of exhaustion. There's no way we can defeat these 28 heavenly dragons. Harley's expression was solemn. He could sense that the situation wasn't looking good for the angels. Based on the current situation, they would be exhausted before they could exhaust the power of the 28 heavenly dragons. Once they ran out of dermic powers, they would be even more fragile than babies. They would be at the mercy of others. It seems like we can only use our final trump card. I really can't accept this. I wanted to use it at the end, but I didn't expect to have to use it now. What a pity. Oliver wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. It doesn't matter. Obtaining this half-plane is equivalent to obtaining endless benefits. As for the treasures in other places, it's fine. Just these are enough to feed our angel clan, not to mention the 28 primordial heavenly dragon talismans. No matter how you look at it, this is a good deal, Harley said in a deep voice. He didn't feel the slightest bit of regret. You're right. Treasures are only valuable when they are used. Now is not the time to be stingy. Oliver nodded. He finally made up his mind. Boom. He grabbed with his big hand and immediately took out a white flame from his body. This white flame burned quietly in Oliver's palm, slowly rotating. In the depths of the flame, there seemed to be angel characters appearing. They were branded in the void, containing a terrifying destructive power. Angel flame. Corinne was shocked. He recognized the origin of this flame. He was extremely shocked. This was because angel flame was a terrifying flame that only saint-level angels could master. It was known as the flame of world annihilation. Even if there was only a little flame, it could turn the area within a radius of 100,000 miles into a dead zone. When this white flame appeared in a trance, they seemed to hear an archangel chanting. It was like an angel's hymn. The ancient poem came from heaven. It was solemn and solemn, making people couldn't help but prostrate in worship. What? This group of angels actually have angel flame? Xia Ping couldn't help but frown. He could also feel the terrifying power of this flame. It was like a star living in it. Once it exploded, it would definitely destroy the world. Even if tens of thousands of nuclear bombs exploded at the same time, it wouldn't be comparable to such power. In fact, this angel flame was given to Oliver and the others by a saint-level archangel of the angel clan. The purpose was to use it as a trump card to destroy all enemies who tried to destroy the angel clan's plans. Chapter 1621. Die. A cold glint flashed in Oliver's eyes as he immediately threw the white flame in his hand at the 28 sky dragons. In an instant, the white flame turned into a sea of fire that spanned hundreds of kilometers. Rumble. Immediately, the 28 sky dragons let out furious roars. They attempted to extinguish the flames but to no avail. The might of the angelic flames was just too terrifying. Once one came into contact with it, it would be like a parasite. It wouldn't stop until the target was completely incinerated and purified. In just a few breaths, the 28 sky dragons kept tumbling in midair as their roars grew weaker. It was as though the power within the talismans was about to be depleted and reduced to their original forms. However, their original forms were sacred artifacts after all. The angelic flames were unable to destroy their original forms, but the might of the flames was enough to completely deplete the energy of the talismans, leaving nothing behind. Haha, as expected of the angelic flames bestowed upon us by the Archangel. His might is just too great. Even the 28 primordial sky dragon talismans can't withstand it. The angel flame is indeed powerful. This is our angel race's unique world extermination flame, the flame of purification. Any living thing that comes into contact with it will turn into ashes, ceasing to exist. How can a mere heavenly dragon resist it? Thankfully, there are only 28 primordial sky dragon talismans. If there were 36 of them to form the Heavenly Dipper 36 Malevolence formation, I'm afraid we wouldn't be able to use the angelic flames. Regardless, we have finally won this time. When the 28 primordial sky dragon talismans are depleted and reduced to their original forms, we can take the opportunity to control and refine them for ourselves. The many angels were excited as their eyes lit up. They knew that the angelic flames would be able to deplete the primordial sky dragon talisman's powers in a few more minutes. The two Thunder Tribulation Realm angels, Oliver and Harley, were also looking forward to it. However, they suppressed their excitement and waited for the primordial sky dragon talisman's powers to be depleted to prevent any accidents from happening. Oh no, they actually used the angelic flames. It looks like the angels are about to succeed, Tu Linglong said anxiously. Tu Linglong said anxiously. She originally wanted to see the heavenly dragons and the angels fight to the death. She didn't expect the angels to have such a treasure. As expected, that group of angels does have a trump card. It seems like this treasure is not fated with us. Qing Wan said regretfully. However, she didn't regret it too much. After all, without strength, even if she obtained a peerless treasure, she wouldn't be able to hold on to it. Instead, it would be a monstrous disaster. Xia Ping did not say a word because he was circulating the Hell Golden Crow's eye to constantly observe the 28 primordial sky dragon talismans. This power could penetrate the void and observe the various structures deep within the talismans. In just a breath's time, the structure of each primordial sky dragon talisman appeared before him in detail. He could not help but marvel. Every talisman was a treasure that excelled the workmanship of nature. There was a space within them, and deep within the space was the supreme will of the primordial sky dragon. Faintly, he sensed that deep inside the talisman space, there seemed to be an ancient sky dragon roaring towards the sky and opening its mouth, seeming to be able to swallow Hing Xing, so strong. Xia Ping was secretly astounded. Even though he had only seen a primordial sky dragon phantom, he could sense how powerful the primordial sky dragon in the depths of the talisman was. It could traverse dozens of stellar domains, and a slight roar could cause countless planets to tremble. If it were at its peak, this ancient sky dragon would definitely be able to rampage and fight a sage. However, at that moment the ancient sky dragon seemed extremely weak. Its flesh and blood were shriveled, as though it had not been replenished for tens of thousands of years. It was starving to the point of being all bones. This was not only because it had been vying with the angels, but also because the angelic flames had drained its energy. At the same time, it had not been replenished for countless years, resulting in its current state. He could sense that if these talismans could obtain sufficient energy, they would probably be able to produce earth-shattering power. Of course, any energy was not sufficient. It had to be pure dragon energy to make up for the depletion of the primordial sky dragon talismans. I see. If I were to inject the dragon energy into these 28 primordial sky dragon talismans, I would immediately be able to activate the power deep within them, greatly increasing their strength. Xia Ping's eyes glinted. Although he did not have the strength of a true dragon, he had large amounts of dragon blood. There was even the barbaric dragon rabbit and other creatures that constantly produced dragon blood. With the power of the dragon blood, he believed that he could rejuvenate these primordial sky dragon talismans. At the thought of this, he did not hesitate. He grabbed out with his hand, instantly enveloping a blob of dragon blood with his dermic powers. It spun above his palm as it emanated the aura of a true dragon. Xia Ping circulated his martial divine power, head-piercing 7 arrows art, and threw the blob of dragon blood out like a hidden weapon. So, Instantly, the blob of dragon blood seemed to escape into the void. It was silent, so much so that even the lightning tribulation realm angels could not detect it. Perhaps they had never imagined that there would be someone lying in ambush nearby. At that instant, the blob of dragon blood barged into the battlefield and struck the 28 primordial skydragon talismans. Immediately, the 28 primordial skydragon talismans trembled incessantly, as though they had been injected with stimulants. It was also like a drought meeting with sweet dew. Primordial skydragon phantoms appeared and devoured the blob of dragon blood. After obtaining the blob of dragon blood, the primordial skydragon talismans underwent an unbelievable change. It was as though they had completely activated the power deep within the talismans, restoring all their strength to its peak state. Boom. Immediately, a gigantic primordial celestial dragon appeared in the sky. 28 stars appeared on its body. They were not ordinary planets but stars that emitted terrifying energy. These 28 stars represented the 28 lunar mansions. A killing array 10 times more terrifying than before was instantly set up, encompassing a radius of 500 kilometers. The angelic flames that were wrapped around the primordial skydragon talismans were also sent flying. Even their strength seemed to be greatly reduced. What's going on? Aren't these primordial skydragon talismans about to be drained of energy? How did it suddenly revive as if it had been injected with chicken blood? How did it achieve a new lease of life? It's over. These 28 primordial skydragon talismans have been completely activated and restored to their peak state. They are even stronger than before. How are we to defend against this? Someone must be causing trouble nearby, activating the primordial skydragon talismans. Damn it, there's actually someone who dares to cause trouble right under our noses. They are courting death. Come out, you coward. Come out immediately. I'll tear you apart alive. The angels seemed to sense something as they let out angry roars. Chapter 16:22. After being nourished by the dragon blood energy, these primordial skydragon talismans were like a cardiac stimulant. All their potential was stimulated, allowing them to communicate with the will of the primordial skydragon deep within the talismans. This also allowed them to unleash earth-shattering might. In an instant, the 28 talismans transformed into 28 stars that blanketed the surroundings, forming a peerless killing array that trapped Oliver, Harley, and the other angels. It was even to the extent that a terrifying storm erupted from the formation, completely drowning the area within a radius of 1,000 miles. The surrounding mountains collapsed and were razed to the ground. Countless explosions occurred, and the entire area almost collapsed and was completely smashed into smithereens. Hide. Upon sensing the destructive fluctuations, Xia Ping realized that he couldn't stay here for long. This was an indiscriminate attack. With a grab, he immediately threw Tu Ling Long and the Green Yuan into the space of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers. His true body also instantly hid in the space of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers. As the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers was a sacred artifact, it was extremely powerful. Just these fluctuations were unable to damage the internal structure of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers. Therefore it was the safest place to hide. Damn those primordial skydragon talismans. Do they think they can kill me with such means? They're just a spent force. Let's fight it out with these talismans. Angel Annihilation Art Break. In such a life and death situation, Oliver, Harley, and the other angels gave it their all. They cast peerless killing moves and used all their might to clash with the power of the 28 primordial skydragon talismans. Boom. These two tyrannical forces collided with each other and exploded in an instant. It was as if the surroundings had turned into chaos, and the surrounding mountains collapsed in an instant. At that moment, the region within a radius of tens of thousands of kilometers was razed to the ground, turning into a plain. Following that, many angels let out tragic cries. Dozens of Restoration Realm angels and 6 Dharma Characteristic Realm angels died on the spot, blasted into a pile of meat paste. The other angels, including Oliver, Harley, and the other angels, were also severely injured. Their bodies were in tatters and they were a bloody mess. Large amounts of blood flowed out as though they were made of blood. In order to withstand the attacks of the 28 primordial skydragon talismans, they had expended all their energy. They were like lamps that had run out of oil. It could be said to be the most miserable state of their lives. A good chance. Xia Ping's eyes lit up as he hid in the space inside the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers. His divine sense could sense that these angels were in their weakest state. They had no magic power and were defenseless. Furthermore, the 28 primordial heavenly dragon talismans had also been completely drained from the dragon blood energy he had bestowed upon them. They were in a state of complete exhaustion. In other words, both sides were in their weakest state. He knew that this was a great opportunity for him to make a move. If he missed this opportunity, he might not get it again. Whoosh! Xia Ping's body flickered as he pulled out the infernal demon-suppressing spear. Wings of the infernal golden crow appeared on his back as he dove into the void soundlessly. In the blink of an eye, he appeared before the angels. What? Oliver, Harley, and the other angels were all astonished. They hadn't expected that someone would attack them at this time. This person had targeted them when they were at their weakest, and there was a terrifying killing intent all around them. Good, very good. I've been waiting for you to appear. To think that a mongrel human at the Golden Core realm dares to hide nearby and ambush so many of my angels. You are truly audacious. Oliver's expression darkened as he let out a furious bellow. However, do you think that you can sneak an attack on a lightning tribulation mighty figure with your Golden Core realm strength? Even though I'm only left with a sliver of my strength, I'm not someone a mongrel ant like you can match. He gathered the last bit of lightning tribulation mighty figure strength in his body in a bid to kill Xia Ping. So what if you are a lightning tribulation mighty figure? You are already at the end of your rope when it comes to fighting to the death with the 28 primordial heavenly dragon talismans. You have less than a 10,000th of your strength left. You want to fight me with this crippled body? Even if you have 9 lives, you won't be able to survive. Xia Ping sneered and remained unmoved. He immediately attacked, thrusting the infernal demon suppressing spear. Infernal demon suppressing spear's second move, massacre. Immediately, hellish texts appeared on the infernal demon suppressing spear, emitting wisps of hellish aura. They condensed into a boundless sharpness that contained terrifying killing intent. This was the purest massacre aura that could obliterate bodies and souls. Holy light shield. Sensing the powerful killing intent, Oliver's expression changed drastically. His hair stood on end as he fought with his life on the line. The angelic power in his body rapidly gathered as more than 10,000 angelic runes rapidly gathered together, forming a white shield that blocked in front of him. He attempted to withstand the power of Xia Ping's spear in exchange for a chance of survival. Xia Ping did not hesitate as the infernal demon suppressing spear struck the holy light shield. With a crack, the powerful killing intent instantly pierced through the shield, shattering it into pieces. The shield couldn't even withstand the infernal demon suppressing spear for a second. How is this possible? Oliver couldn't believe it. The angel race's defensive divine power was extremely powerful. Once it was activated, it was comparable to a superior grade defensive spirit artifact. It was enough to withstand countless attacks. But now this punk had shattered his holy light shield with a single strike. It was simply unbelievable. But how could he know how terrifying the infernal demon suppressing spear was? This was a weapon that came from the Hell's prison guards. It had once fought with the gods and demons of Hell. It was incomparably sharp and had endless killing intent. How could a mere holy light shield withstand the sharpness of the infernal demon suppressing spear? He didn't know this at all and still wanted to use the shield to block it. That was the path to death. Dong. In the next second, the infernal demon suppressing spear pierced through the holy light shield and then through Oliver's body. He was instantly pierced through like a barbecue, and a large amount of blood splattered out from his chest. Ah! Oliver immediately let out a shrill scream. At the same time, the infernal demon suppressing spear activated its power and produced a devouring power. It gave off a blood-red light, and vaguely a demonic god appeared, devouring the power of the angel's bloodline. After a few breaths, his body rapidly shriveled, and all the essence of his flesh and blood was devoured cleanly. Damn it, this is the power of Hell. It is the mortal enemy of us angels. How did you obtain the power of Hell? Impossible, this is impossible. Oliver screamed again and again. He simply didn't dare to believe it, because what came from this spear was the power of Hell that angels were incomparably afraid of. It was also the power of corruption. But before he could understand this, the infernal demon suppressing spear shook slightly, and with a dong, his body was shattered into pieces, turning into a pile of minced meat. Oliver. Lowly human, you actually dared to kill Oliver. I want you dead, I want you dead. Harley roared, and his eyes were about to pop out. Noisy. Xia Ping didn't even look and stabbed out with the spear again. It was as fast as lightning, and a winding trajectory appeared in mid-air. Dong. Chapter 1623. Lord Harley, Lord Oliver, how could this be? They're just ants in the golden elixir realm. How could they be so powerful? Run. Hurry up and run. This person is a demon from hell. He's not human at all. I'll stop him. Everyone run. Archangel, we must eradicate this hellish fiend. One by one, the angels roared loudly, and the thought of escaping arose in their hearts. Some angels even took the initiative to step forward, wanting to cover the retreat for the other angels and win a chance of survival. However, just as those angels who wanted to bring up the rear were about to step forward and execute the ultimate techniques of the angel race, Xiaoping made his move. Wielding the hell spear in his hand, he executed the hell-suppressing demon spear art one after another. The first style, nature, and the second style, slaughter. Two killer moves came crashing down at the same time, bombarding like a torrential storm. Xiao xiao xiao. Streaks of black energy descended like peerless killing intent. In an instant, the protective astral energy around the dozen or so angel warriors who tried to cover the retreat was instantly torn apart. With a boom, their bodies instantly exploded into pieces, turning into a mass of meat paste. At the moment of their deaths, the angels widened their eyes in disbelief, as if they hadn't expected that they would be killed by Xiaoping so easily. But how could these angels know how terrifying Xiaoping's current strength was? Although he was only at the intermediate stage of the Golden Core realm, in terms of combat power, he could simply sweep across the returning True Realm. With his Golden Crow of Hell bloodline, Hell Spear, and many other martial arts, his strength was so strong that it made people's hair stand on end. He was like a divine beast that had walked out of chaos. Furthermore, the battle between the angels and the primordial heavenly dragon talismans had already drained him of his dermic powers. He was like a lamp out of oil, unable to unleash even a 10,000th of his strength. How could these angels be a match for Xiaoping? Seeing that the angels were all killed, the remaining angels who tried to escape were completely dumbfounded. Their faces were ashen, and they didn't even know how to escape. They had already lost the ability to think. No. The angels shrieked, their faces filled with endless fear. A moment later, however, they were plunged into the darkness of nothingness. Xiaoping was like a demon, a tiger in a flock of sheep, wielding his hell spear to reap the lives of all living beings. In just a few breaths of time, the remaining angels were all killed, and not a single one was left. They simply couldn't resist Xiaoping for a single breath of time. Although these angels had died, each of them had left behind a sparkling and translucent angelic crystal. In particular, the crystals of the two Thunder Tribulation angels were palm-sized and hexagonal. They contained 18,000 angel runes that formed a mysterious and unfathomable formation. Each angelic crystal contained dense angelic energy. It was a rare and precious treasure. Capture. Xiaoping took action and collected all the angelic crystals. Without any hesitation, he immediately grabbed the 28 primordial heavenly dragon talismans that were floating in midair. To begin with, these primordial sky dragon talismans were untamed and had the pride of a primordial sky dragon. They would not submit to anyone, and unless a true dragon appeared, it was nearly impossible to subdue them. However, when they clashed with the power of the angels, their vital energy was shaken to the point of dissipating. The energy in their bodies was already like a lamp that had run out of oil. They were unable to use even the slightest bit of power in a short period of time, nor were they able to condense them. They all turned into talismans. It could be said that this was the moment when the 28 primordial heavenly dragon talismans were at their weakest. This opportunity was extremely rare, and it was unknown how long they would have to wait if they missed it. After all, these primordial heavenly dragon talismans contained the will of the primordial sky dragon. They were extremely powerful, and even if they were weak now, they wouldn't be for long. If no one suppressed and refined them, they would automatically recover after a period of time. They would automatically absorb void energy and slowly recover to their peak state. When that happened, their strength would probably increase greatly. If Xiaoping didn't have the strength of the Thunder Tribulation realm, it would be impossible for him to subdue them. It could be said that this was the best opportunity and a fortuitous encounter. Refine. A glint flashed in Xiaoping's eyes as he circulated the boundless dermic powers in his body. Instantly, he infused them into the primordial heavenly dragon talismans like a river flowing in reverse. Originally, the primordial heavenly dragon talismans wanted to resist, but they were instantly suppressed by his powerful dermic powers. Even the infernal golden crow's aura was transmitted over, suppressing the primordial sky dragon's will and forcing it to submit. In just moments, the primordial heavenly dragon talismans were imprinted with Xiaoping's consciousness. Great, this is great. I've collected all 28 primordial heavenly dragon talismans. Xiaoping was very excited. With these 28 primordial heavenly dragon talismans, I can immediately set up the Heavenly Dragon 28 constellation array. It's extremely powerful and can even suppress Thunder Tribulation Realm mighty figures. With such a treasure, as long as I don't offend a sage, I can do as I please in the universe. No one will dare to offend me. He had obtained a super trump card and the benefits were boundless. However, he could also sense that it wasn't that simple to simultaneously power the 28 primordial heavenly dragon talismans. They needed to expend the energy of the dragon blood in order to produce their greatest strength. The problem was that he didn't have a lot of dragon blood. He estimated that he could only withstand 3 attacks before it was depleted. Therefore, it couldn't be used as a regular Dharma treasure. It could only be used as a disposable Dharma treasure. However, if he could obtain large amounts of dragon blood, he could use this Dharma treasure continuously to dominate the world. What a great treasure! After Xia Ping refined the 28 primordial heavenly dragon talismans, he immediately discovered that each talisman was like a primordial heavenly dragon. They greedily devoured the void energy in order to rapidly restore the talisman's strength. Deep within the talismans, there was even an intense primordial heavenly dragon aura that permeated Xia Ping's limbs and bones. It constantly strengthened every cell in his body. Vaguely, there was a primordial heavenly dragon growling in the depths of the void. It was as though the mighty will of the primordial heavenly dragon was cleansing his body of impurities and tempering his body. This also meant that even if he didn't cultivate, these primordial heavenly dragon talismans could automatically assist him in his cultivation, tempering his body and constantly evolving. Impressive. Just 28 primordial heavenly dragon talismans are already so impressive. If I can obtain 3,000 primordial heavenly dragon talismans, how impressive would that be? Xia Ping was astounded. Chapter 1624. When the green ox heard this, he didn't refute it. He also admitted this point. After all, the ancient heavenly dragon talisman was famous since the primordial era. It was one of the treasures of the dragon race and also one of Titania's personal treasures. It was extremely powerful and had unparalleled offensive capabilities. Also, the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers was considered a support-type sage artifact. It couldn't be compared to a specialized offensive treasure like the ancient heavenly dragon talisman. Its might was so strong that it could shake the heavens and earth. It was a pity that many sages were afraid of the ancient heavenly dragon talisman's might. Hence, they worked together to scatter the ancient heavenly dragon talisman to various parts of the universe. If it was possible, the sages also wanted to destroy this treasure. Unfortunately, this treasure was a peerless sage artifact. It was extremely powerful and had the property of being indestructible. It was impossible to destroy. Oh, there are still angel flames that haven't been extinguished? After refining the 28 ancient heavenly dragon talismans, Xia Ping immediately discovered that there were still traces of angel flames around the talismans. They seemed to be stubbornly burning the talismans, unwilling to be extinguished. Even if they were struck by the power of the ancient heavenly dragon talismans, it would be extremely difficult to completely extinguish them. It's good that they aren't extinguished. This angel flame belongs to me now. Xia Ping was delighted. He was still worried that he wouldn't be able to absorb more heavenly flames. This angel flame was undoubtedly one of the famous heavenly flames. It was a sacred flame belonging to the angel race. Only 1 in 10,000 angels could control it. He circulated the pure yang immortal art and swallowed the energy of heaven and earth. He immediately absorbed the traces of angel flame into his body and fused them into the solar furnace in the depths of his dantian. Angel flame. Xia Ping could feel his solar furnace devouring the energy of the angel flame. It fused and analyzed the abilities and attributes of the angel flame, understanding the endless mysteries of this flame. Very soon he found out how amazing this angel flame was. It had the power to purify everything. This kind of purification wasn't the kind used by evil life forms. It had its own will. All enemies that went against it would be rapidly purified, burned, and destroyed by the angel flame. But if it was a friend, it wouldn't be harmed at all. It could even heal their friend's injuries. This was a powerful heavenly flame that could differentiate between friend and foe. It seemed to have its own laws and was extremely mystical. No wonder these angels can use angel flames without fear. I didn't expect them to have the ability to distinguish between friend and foe. This is incredible. Xia Ping simply couldn't believe it. The universe was vast and there were truly all sorts of strange things. Even such an alien flame existed. Rumble, at this moment, the angel flame completely merged with his body, Xia Ping felt the golden crow cells in his body awakening crazily. It seemed like the energy of the angel flame brought great benefits to the golden crow bloodline. 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. In the end, he had awakened another 1 million golden crow hell cells, making his golden crow hell bloodline even richer. At the same time, the dermic powers in his body were also rising steadily, and the dermic powers in the violet mansion space were increasing crazily. Shockingly, it had reached the perfected middle stage of the golden elixir realm, and it was only a step away from breaking through to the later stage of the golden elixir realm. Obtaining the primordial heavenly dragon talisman and angelic flame had brought him tremendous benefits. It seems like I'm about to break through to the late stage of gold core. Xia Ping felt that he could break through to the later stage of the golden elixir realm at any time. All he needed to do was to train in seclusion for a period of time. That way he would be even more at home in the Dragonwood mystery realm. He stabilized the dermic powers in his body and felt that there was nothing else for him to do. It was time to enter the world of the mystery realm. Therefore, with a thought, he released Tu Linglong and Green Wan. Whoosh. At this time, Tu Linglong and Green Wan also flew out of the space of the Pearl of Mountain and River. They looked around and found that the surrounding 10,000 miles had been razed to the ground. The situation was tragic, and there was a strong aura everywhere, making one's heart palpitate. But at this moment, the primordial heavenly dragon talisman and the angels had disappeared. Strange, where did the group of angels go? Could they have entered this space secret realm? Tu Linglong looked around and did not sense the aura of the angels. She thought that the group of angels had entered the space secret realm. No, they're just over there. Xia Ping pointed to the front. Fuck, they've all become like this. They're all dead? Tu Linglong looked in the direction that Xia Ping pointed and immediately saw a lump of meat paste. The blood was emitting a holy aura and there were white feathers. Clearly they were the corpses of the angels. However, they had been beaten into a lump of dregs, and it was impossible to tell their shape. If not for the rich angelic aura in their blood, no one would believe that they were once angels. Yes, they're all dead. Xia Ping nodded. Are you a pervert? Tu Linglong and Green Wan were speechless. There were Thunder Tribulation realm mighty figures among the group of angels. Even if they were to take advantage of the situation, they might not be able to defeat the other party. Moreover, if the other party had any trump cards, they might even be killed instead. How could it be that easy to take advantage of the situation? They did not expect Xia Ping to really be able to kill all these angels. It was simply too unbelievable. You're welcome. Sneak attacks are my specialty, Xia Ping said smugly. Tu Linglong's face turned green as she bared her teeth. Clearly, she recalled the experience of being sneak attacked by this shameless human. Indeed, this bastard was best at taking advantage of others. Alright, enough with the nonsense. Let's enter this half-plane world and see what treasures are inside, said Xia Ping as he looked at the spatial passage in front of him expectantly. Tu Linglong and Green Wan both nodded. They were also curious about what kind of place was inside. Whoosh. In the blink of an eye, the three of them entered the spatial passage. Not long after Xia Ping and the others left and entered the spatial passageway, several forces from 10,000 kilometers away sensed the fluctuations of Yuan Qi in this area and quickly arrived. What's going on? There seems to be a strong Yuan Qi fluctuation in the distance. It seems that there are Thunder Tribulation realm mighty figures fighting. No way. The Dragonwood secret realm is huge and has countless treasures. Why would they fight? And this is just the beginning? Someone must have found an incredible treasure, which is why the Thunder Tribulation realm mighty figures are fighting to the death. What kind of treasure could it be that attracted the Thunder Tribulation realm mighty figures? Could it be that they found a spatial node that has never been discovered before and found Titania's secret lair? I'm not sure, but we'll know once we go in and take a look. If there are treasures, we might be able to get a share. Right, let's go and take a look. Countless forces were attracted by the fluctuations. For example, the elephant race, white tiger race, antelope race, peacock race, and other races of the Western universe all rushed over. Chapter 1625. Swoosh. Xia Ping, Tu Linglong, and Qing Wan passed through the spatial tunnel and arrived in another space, landing on the ground. This is the half-plane world? Xia Ping looked around and discovered that this was a vast half-plane world. Its surface area was at least as large as the surface area of Earth in his previous life. There were plains everywhere and there were no tall mountains. Moreover, this was not as simple as plains but many plots of farmland. There were large amounts of crops planted in the surroundings, as if this place was one of Titania's experimental plots. "Oh my God, Master, look, that field is planted with crystal fragrant rice." The green ox's voice sounded, and it was very excited. "There's another field with golden corn, and the field on the left is planted with glazed sweet potatoes. They are all rare spiritual grains, and their output is very high, not inferior to crystal fragrant rice." Its tone was very excited, indicating that it could all be transplanted into the space of the mountain river pearl, and it could open up another field to plant these spiritual grains. One had to know that golden corn and glazed sweet potatoes were famous spiritual grains in the universe, and their value was not inferior to crystal fragrant rice. They contained boundless energy, but the difficulty of planting them was very high. Golden corn, glazed sweet potatoes? Hearing this, Xiaoping immediately went up and went to the field. There was a field filled with densely packed golden corn, and every single grain of corn seemed to be made of gold and gave off a golden light. It was as if they were made of gold, and they looked like a peerless piece of art in the world. He stretched out his hand and plucked a corn. At the same time, he circulated the flames in his body, raising the temperature. In an instant, this corn was roasted, and instantly emitted an enchanting fragrance. Good stuff. Xiaoping swallowed this corn, and as the golden corn entered his throat, it instantly melted in his mouth, turning into golden liquid, emitting a holy aura. While this golden liquid entered Xiaoping's limbs and bones, swimming around in his body like lava, and finally entered the depths of his dantian, where it was rapidly refined and absorbed by the sun furnace. Then this golden liquid turned into boundless energy, increasing the magic power in his body. It was even tempering his physique bit by bit, improving his bloodline. Different from crystal fragrant rice, these golden corn seemed to have the effect of improving bloodline and strengthening physique. I wonder what the glazed sweet potatoes taste like? Xiaoping looked toward another field with glazed sweet potatoes, and saw that these sweet potatoes were like glazed glass, sparkling and translucent, and there seemed to be countless complicated runes inside. Boom. He dug out a glazed sweet potato and immediately barbecued it. When the glazed sweet potato was cooked, it immediately emitted a purple aura. It was a noble and enchanting fragrance that made people drool. With a smack, Xiaoping immediately took a bite. Instantly, his mouth was filled with a fragrant aroma. It was as if the aroma had attacked the countless taste buds on his tongue. All the cells in his body seemed to be excited, and he was enveloped by a mass of purple. Absorbing the majestic energy of the glazed sweet potato, the spiritual power in the depths of his Zifu was also constantly increasing. Even this glazed sweet potato had the energy to strengthen his spiritual consciousness, allowing his soul energy to increase a little bit. Delicious. Tu Linglong and Qing Wan also seemed to be unable to resist the temptation of these delicacies. They also picked some glazed sweet potatoes and golden corn and quickly cooked and roasted them as tonight's dinner. An hour later, they ate until their bellies were bloated, and steam was emitting from their bodies. Their magic power increased greatly, and their qi and blood were like dragons, emitting terrifying heat like a furnace. Master, quickly pick all these spiritual grains and transplant them into the space of the pearl of mountains and rivers. This is a rare spiritual item, and it's very difficult to find, the green ox immediately said. Although the space of the pearl of mountains and rivers had a spiritual item like the crystal fragrant rice, just one kind of spiritual grain was too monotonous. If it ate it every day, it would definitely be disgusting. Now that there were two spiritual grains, golden corn and glazed sweet potatoes, it could greatly increase the number of species in the space of the pearl of mountains and rivers. Master, my God, this land is all 9 heaven living soil. It's a total of 30 million square kilometers. We're rich, we're really rich this time. Quickly dig it all up. The green ox also noticed that the soil on the ground was not ordinary. It was the famous 9 heaven living soil. It was very excited. With more soil, the pearl of mountains and rivers would surely recover faster. Okay. Xiaoping nodded. Although he already knew that this half-plane world was extremely beneficial, he didn't expect to find so many treasures as soon as he entered. How could he be polite? He immediately started digging. In just an hour, this half-plane world's crystal fragrant rice, glazed sweet potatoes, golden corn, and even the 9 heaven living soil had been dug clean by him. There were potholes everywhere. This bandit. Tu Linglong and Qing Wan were both speechless as they looked at this place. They had come to this half-plane world to search for precious treasures, but this bastard human had even dug up the soil of this half-plane world, and he had even dug 3 feet into the ground. How was this a human? Even a Taotai wouldn't go so far. Wherever this bastard went, not even a blade of grass would grow. Even if one's home was robbed, it wouldn't be this abominable. Now that Titania's lair had encountered this guy, it was simply 8 lifetimes of bad luck. However, they also knew that these spiritual grains were good stuff. They had great benefits for purifying one's bloodline and tempering one's physique, so they also joined in the plundering, obtaining a total of 1,000 tons of spiritual grains. These spiritual grains were probably enough for them to eat for a few hundred years. After all, how could their appetites compare to a freak like Xia Ping? Of course, these spiritual grains were only a drop in the ocean compared to the entire half-plane world. It was far from comparable to what Xia Ping had plundered. There seems to be a laboratory here. After Xia Ping searched the spiritual grains in this half-plane, he immediately discovered that there was a huge building in the depths of this half-plane. There were many laboratories built there, covering an area of 100,000 square kilometers. He went in to take a look, wanting to know what treasures were inside. Unfortunately, after a closer look, he discovered that this place had long been empty. All the experimental equipment had been moved away. Titania probably also knew that she was surrounded by many sages, so she had already made preparations to retreat. She moved all the important treasures away, leaving only an empty shell behind. No, wait, there's still some experimental data here. Xia Ping searched carefully and immediately discovered that this place was still missing. He found many experimental data written in the dragon language, left behind by Titania. Because he had consumed the universal translation fruit, he already knew the dragon language like the back of his hand. He had no trouble reading it. Chapter 1626. I see. After reading the information, Xia Ping realized that Titania had never intended to create a monster like the zombie beast. She had intended to use the Taoye cells to create a potion that could allow life to evolve continuously. After all, the Taoye's bloodline was amazing. As long as it ate enough, it could evolve continuously without any bottlenecks. Countless creatures were envious of it. However, there was only one shortcoming, and that was its endless greed. It seemed that no matter how much it ate, it would not be able to satisfy it. This was also one of its biggest shortcomings. But even so, Titania's experiment was considered half a success because she had indeed created a powerful monster that could evolve continuously and was indestructible. It could also continuously create dependents, which was extremely infectious. If these dependents with the Taoye's bloodline did not lose their minds and their souls were not destroyed, the experiment would be perfect. The reason why the Taoye's dependents would lose their rationality was because this corpse itself was a crazy monster without any rationality. Its divine sense had a tyrannical destructive power that could destroy anything. At the moment of infection, the souls of those dependents would be eroded by the corpse beast's soul, which was why the infected creatures would go crazy. Even Titania could not control such a monster. She could only let it go. No, that's not right. In other words, if the zombie beast can be controlled and regain its sanity, doesn't that mean that people infected with the zombie beast's bloodline will not go crazy, just like the dependents of the sucking blood clan? Can it create an endless army of dependents? Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. If he could create a large number of Taotai dependents with sanity, it would be equivalent to controlling a terrifying army with infinite potential. His power would expand geometrically. He was very excited at the thought of this. It was impossible for other people, even saints, to control the zombie beast. However, Xia Ping was different. He had mastered the soul seal, a powerful mental secret skill that could even control saints. He might be able to completely control the zombie beast and make it his loyal subordinate. Once controlled by the soul seal, the zombie beast would not go crazy again. It could completely control the destructive power of the infection. It would not destroy the sanity of the infected and cause a disaster. To be honest, Titania had also wanted to find this mental secret skill, but the blood soul saint had already been killed. The soul seal had also been lost for a long time. She could not find it even if she wanted to. Interesting. Perhaps this is a huge trump card. Xia Ping rubbed his chin. He was tempted to search for the sealed zombie beast. Perhaps he would have the chance to enslave them and make them his loyal subordinates. Xia Ping, there seems to be a restriction array core here. Can it control the demiplane here? Suddenly, Tu Linglong's voice sounded out. Whoosh. Xia Ping's figure flickered and he arrived beside Tu Linglong and the blue Luan in an instant. There seemed to be a huge black steel in the center of the laboratory, engraved with numerous complex arrays and emitting peculiar spatial fluctuations. It was like the center of this demiplane, stabilizing the entire demiplane. Yes, this stone tablet is the core of this demiplane world. As long as you refine the stone tablet, you can completely control this place. Xiaoping nodded. Hurry up and refine it. I have a bad feeling about this. The Blue Luan said in a deep voice. Just now the angels and the primordial heavenly dragon talisman fought for a long time, causing strong fluctuations. It might be noticed by others and come over to investigate. If the space node of this place is discovered, we must escape. The Blue Luan bloodline in her was warning her that if she did not completely control this demi-plane and transfer the space node, she would definitely encounter great danger. There is indeed this possibility. Xiaoping nodded. He immediately stepped forward and infused his mana and divine sense into the stone tablet. In an instant, his divine sense had an inexplicable connection with the stone tablet. Vaguely, he seemed to feel that he had merged with the entire demi-plane world and could control everything in this world. Boom. With a thought, the space passage that was still open was immediately closed. The space node even moved and hit on a grain of gravel on the ground thousands of miles away. In this way, no one could find the existence of this space node. In fact, if there was someone in this demi-plane world and he had refined the stone tablet, no matter how powerful the angels were, they would not be able to find the location of this demi-plane. However, once the space node changed, it caused trouble for the elites of the various races in the Western universe who came to find out what had happened. They searched everywhere but could not find out what had happened in this place. After wasting a few days, they still could not find any clues. They could only give up. However, this matter had nothing to do with Xiaoping. There's a secret warehouse here. After completely controlling this demi-plane world, Xiaoping knew this space like the back of his hand. His divine sense swept in all directions and sensed every corner of this space clearly. Soon he discovered a secret warehouse in a corner of this space. There was a powerful restriction array set up in that place. It had the ability to conceal one's aura, as though it was hidden in the depths of a dimension. If he had not controlled this demi-plane world, he would not have discovered it. Xiaoping did not hesitate and immediately teleported over. He controlled the power of the stone tablet and instantly cracked the secret restriction array. Suddenly, a small warehouse was revealed. With a bang, he stretched out his hand and pushed open the door of the warehouse. Oh my God, what is this? Tu Linglong and Qing Wan naturally followed him. When they saw the things in the warehouse, they could not help but widen their eyes, dumbfounded and shocked. Dragon crystals? These should be dragon crystals that only the dragon clan can have. Xiaoping also could not help but gasp because this warehouse was filled with a strong true dragon aura and majestic energy. A large number of dragon crystals were piled up like a small mountain. Each of these dragon crystals was the size of a fist. They were blood red as if they were condensed from blood. They were the true essence of the dragon's blood and emitted infinite heat like suns. Ordinary people would be burned if they got close to them. Tu Linglong and Qing Wan were breathing rapidly. They felt that these dragon crystals were their opportunities for evolution. They could greatly purify their bloodline and increase their potential. Perhaps even the legendary dragonwood source could not compare to this. Chapter 1627. At this moment, in a quiet room in the half-plane world, Xiaoping was meditating in seclusion. He had obtained a total of 20,000 dragon crystals from the warehouse. Tu Linglong and Qing Wan had each taken 1,000 dragon crystals as resources for their cultivation. However, even if there were only 18,000 dragon crystals left, it was still a rather shocking amount of wealth. If he used them to activate the 36 ancient heavenly dragon talismans, he could activate them hundreds of times. However, it was too wasteful. He might as well use them to cultivate and strengthen his dermic powers. Rumble Xiaoping immediately took out 8 dragon crystals and consumed them. He circulated the pure yang immortal technique and digested the dragon crystals rapidly. Immediately, the dragon crystals were refined by the flames and melted into majestic dragon blood energy. Like the yellow river, it flowed through his limbs and into every cell. Such violent dragon blood energy. Xiaoping was shocked. He could feel that even a single dragon crystal contained more than 1,000 times the energy of ordinary dragon blood. This was a treasure that condensed the essence of the dragon race and was priceless. Now that he had refined 8 dragon crystals at once, the dragon race energy he obtained was even more unimaginable. It was as though he had consumed 8 stalks of 10,000-year-old spiritual medicine. The medicinal power surged like the sea and was extremely violent. He could feel the dermic powers in his body increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the depths of his purple mansion space, the seawater condensed from dermic powers was also increasing rapidly. In just a few breaths, the entire purple mansion space was filled with seawater. With such a cultivation speed, It was unknown how many years of cultivation time could be saved. In fact, if his body wasn't strong enough, he would have long exploded from the surging medicinal power. It was like an exploding oil barrel. After all, if one's body wasn't strong enough, they would be courting death if they dared to consume 10,000-year-old spiritual medicine. However, Xiaoping was strong enough, so it wasn't a big deal for him to consume these dragon crystals. I'm about to break through. In that instant, Xiaoping's soul was suddenly inspired. His soul was instantly inspired as if the conditions were right. In fact, his cultivation had already advanced to the mid-stage golden elixir realm and wasn't far from breaking through. As long as he had enough energy and comprehension, he could break through to the late-stage golden elixir realm in the next second. Not to mention the fact that he had a fortuitous encounter and swallowed 8 dragon crystals. With the help of the dragon clan's energy, the spiritual power in the Violet Kingdom was instantly raised to the level of perfection. At this moment, the surging dragon crystal's energy was still wreaking havoc in the Violet Palace space. It was like a heavenly dragon roaring as it collided everywhere, causing the surrounding spatial barriers to emit crackling sounds. Numerous densely packed spatial cracks appeared from the collision, and they were like spider webs. Dong. In an instant, the surging seawater completely shattered these spatial barriers. It was as if a certain barrier had been broken, causing the volume of the Z Kingdom space to expand towards the depths of the void. The water also surged in all directions. Late-stage golden core realm. Xiaoping felt energized and refreshed. He immediately knew that he had finally broken through the bottleneck of the martial Dao and raised his martial Dao cultivation to the level of the late-stage gold core realm. His Dharma power had been greatly improved. Compared to before, the current Zifu space had more than doubled in size. Boundless seawater fluctuated around the space, forming a vast and boundless sea. At the same time, his divine sense had also received a huge increase. It rose rapidly, and the range of his divine sense almost covered this half-plane world in an instant, reaching every corner. Even the returning nature realm cultivators couldn't compare with such divine sense power. Probably only the mighty figures of the law phase realm could barely compete with Xiaoping and be mentioned in the same breath. Even the soul in the depths of the golden core had become clear, as if it had turned into a small person, as if it was about to give birth to a truly tyrannical primordial spirit and break out of its shell. Is this the primordial spirit? Xiaoping closed his eyes and sensed the existence of his primordial spirit in the depths of his golden core. It was like his second clone, containing all the soul energy. But at this moment, his primordial spirit was like a chick in the eggshell. It had not completely matured yet. Only when the power of the primordial spirit was strong enough could it really break out of the shell. Of course, compared to the ordinary golden core realm cultivators, his primordial spirit was more than 100 times stronger. But it was also because of this that the shell of his golden core was more than 100 times stronger than the ordinary golden core. In this case, if the primordial spirit wanted to break out of the shell, it would require even greater power. After advancing to the late-stage golden core realm, Xiaoping also discovered that the golden crow of hell bloodline in his body had been completely activated. The energy from the countless spiritual herbs and dragon blood in his body was rapidly digested. 100,000 golden crow of hell cells, 200,000 golden crow of hell cells, 300,000 golden crow of hell cells. In the end, he felt that he had awakened a total of 8 million golden crow of hell cells in his body. The bloodline in his body was boiling. It was as if there was a golden crow of hell residing in the depths of every bloodline and acupoint in his body. They let out cries and resonated with his bloodline. Vaguely, there seemed to be many dark golden patterns appearing on his back. They intertwined with each other and formed the totem of a golden crow of hell. Boom! Large amounts of dark golden flames spewed out from the 108,000 pores on Xiaoping's body. The area within a radius of tens of miles was covered by these flames, turning into a sea of fire. The surrounding buildings melted under the sea of fire. They could not withstand the heat for more than a few seconds. All of them turned into molten matter and flowed in the surroundings, causing thick smoke to rise. Ordinary creatures did not dare to come within a dozen miles. Otherwise they would definitely be burned to ashes by the scorching heat. It was as if there was a sun burning in this area. Ordinary creatures could not get close. He had a feeling that if he awakened 10 million golden crow of hell cells, his bloodline would undergo a transformation. He would definitely obtain endless benefits and greatly increase his strength. In the distance, Tu Linglong and Qing Wan also saw the scene of the flames soaring into the sky. The instant the flames erupted, they sensed danger and instantly left the area where Xiaoping was cultivating in seclusion. They felt a lingering fear when they saw the appearance of these flames. It was as if they would be burned to ashes if they came into contact with a trace of it. These were terrifying flames that did not belong to this universe. They could destroy the world. This human is too powerful. What kind of fortuitous encounter did he have? Qing Wan felt her heart tremble. It seemed that the bloodline in this human's body was even more noble than her Qing Wan's bloodline. There was a faint aura of the king of all birds. She had no choice but to submit to him. Who cares what kind of fortuitous encounter he had? I will definitely be more powerful than him. One day I will capture him and beat him up. You will be my manservant. Tu Linglong gritted her teeth. She felt that she was stimulated by Xia Ping's cultivation speed and strength. If this continued, wouldn't her cultivation forever fall behind this bastard? Therefore she felt that she could not continue to be lazy. She had to work hard. Let's cultivate too. We just happened to obtain a lot of dragon crystals. Chapter 1628. Time flowed like water and more than a month passed in the blink of an eye. After Xia Ping advanced to late-stage golden elixir realm, he did not come out of seclusion. That was because he needed a certain amount of time to stabilize his spirit consciousness, dermic powers and bloodline power. Otherwise, it would cause signs of his martial arts foundation becoming unstable. Furthermore, this half-plane was extremely secretive and no one could enter to disturb him. Therefore, he could cultivate in seclusion in this place without any worries and increase his strength. After more than a month, he had finally stabilized his cultivation completely. In fact, thanks to the help of the dragon crystal, he had devoured and digested a massive amount of energy and his cultivation of dermic powers had increased tremendously. He was even closer to perfected late-stage golden elixir realm. Swoosh. At that moment, Xia Ping stood on a flat plane and circulated the divine elephant breathing technique. His bloodline circulated and he breathed in and out, as though he was devouring all the air currents within a radius of hundreds of miles into his body. Every breath he took was like the movement of a peerless ferocious beast. It also seemed to create a terrifying storm, causing a level 18 superstorm within a radius of several hundred miles. It swept through the world and left deep cracks in the ground. Even without using dermic powers, he could easily kill a golden elixir with just the strength of his current body. Dong. Xia Ping stomped on the ground like a divine elephant stomping on the ground. The powerful force seeped into the ground and created a terrifying shockwave. A pit that was dozens of kilometers wide was created immediately. At the same time, crackling sounds rang out and countless cracks appeared, covering the surrounding ground like a spider web. Huge rocks were shattered by the vibrations. The surrounding soil, gravel and other materials flew out and piled up together, forming huge mountains. With his body as the center, the area within a radius of 3,000 kilometers was severely damaged as though it had been baptized by a level 9 earthquake. All the buildings were leveled to the ground and there were potholes everywhere. Flames? With a single thought, Xia Ping channeled the power of flames in his body and terrifying flame energy was emitted from the depths of his dantian. One after another, fire runes gathered on his right hand before gathering together to form 6 fireballs. One of the fireballs was orange-yellow in color and contained an extremely strong aura of yang. It was indestructible like the sun and that was the flames of the sun. A fireball was dark red in color. There were flame symbols inside that condensed into liquid, surging like lava. This was a strange flame that came from the earth core flame. A black fireball emitted an ominous, plague, drought and other dark aura. It also seemed to contain curse power. This was the drought demon's flame. A white fireball appeared. It was pure and flawless and it slowly spun like a ball of light. Deep within the fireball, there seemed to be an angel chanting an angelic hymn. This was angelic flame. There was a green fireball that contained boundless life energy. It did not possess any destructive power and was exuberant with life energy, as if it was the source of life. This was the flame of life. One of the fireballs was dark gold, formed from 2 different kinds of flames. One was black, dark and filled with the power of hell. The other was golden, ancient and filled with the power of the golden crow. These 6 types of mystical flames were the terrifying flames that he had mastered. Every single one of them had unimaginable abilities. Once they were used, they would definitely cause terrifying destruction. Dong. Xia Ping lightly waved his hand and the 6 fireballs were smashed out. In an instant, 6 huge craters were blasted out. The surrounding rocks were burned to ashes, displaying the terrifying destructive power of the fireballs. These flames burned the soil and rocks, not extinguishing even after a long time. The surrounding temperature was rising rapidly, turning the entire area into a flaming mountain. The power of my divine sense has also increased by a lot. Xia Ping's heart stirred. He felt that after his divine sense had grown stronger, his understanding of the true solution of illusions had also increased. He felt that he had reached a new realm. Boom, with a thought, with his body as the center, an illusion array that covered 1,000 li came enveloping down. Immediately this was originally a barren plain, but when the illusory array rose, buildings rose from the ground, forming a huge ancient city. This city had city walls, residential buildings, shops, the city lord's mansion, wide roads, and even underground waterways. The marble walls were mottled with traces of swords and saber clashing. It exuded an ancient and tragic aura as if it had experienced thousands of years. If someone were to enter this city, they would even feel that this city was real. When they stepped on the ground, they could feel the hardness of the marble. They wouldn't be able to tell that this was an illusion. Xia Ping immediately knew that he had finally reached the entry level in the realm of illusions. He had reached a new realm. The true solution of illusions called it one thought, one world. This was the first level of illusions. With a single thought, one could create a real world. The size of this world depended on the illusionist's soul energy. Of course, the first level was divided into several levels: elementary, intermediate, advanced, and perfection. Right now he was only at the elementary level. He could create realistic things such as a realistic material world, the hardness of stones, the softness of sand, and so on. If he reached the intermediate level, he would be able to create the flesh and blood of various races in the universe. When he killed someone in this illusion world, he would even be able to feel blood splattering and the feeling of swords cutting through his flesh. If he reached the advanced level, he would be able to bestow these lives with spirituality. He could even allow these illusory lives to have their own consciousness and communicate with each other, just like artificial intelligence. If he reached the perfection level, he would be able to create an illusion world with its own ancient history. Every life would have their own growth process, and there would also be complex interpersonal relationships between them. There wouldn't be any flaws in the illusion world. Of course, this was only the first level of illusions. If he reached the second level, he would be able to create 10,000 worlds with a single thought. Such a person could already be called an illusionist grandmaster. With a single thought, he would be able to create several worlds or even tens of thousands of illusory worlds, interweaving with each other as if forming a universe. As for whether there were realms higher than this, he didn't know. But even if he had just reached the first level, the elementary level, the might of such illusions was enough to surpass the vast majority of cultivators. Why did a city suddenly appear in this place? At this time, Tu Linglong's voice came over. She walked out of her seclusion room. She originally wanted to look for Xia Ping, but she didn't expect to see an ancient city on the plains. She was extremely puzzled. It's indeed strange. Could it be that something happened in this half-plane world? Chapter 1629. Out of seclusion? I can test the power of the illusion technique. Sensing Tu Linglong's and Qing Wan's auras, Xia Ping immediately wanted to test the power of his illusion technique to see if it had any effect. Boom! Immediately the entire ancient city emitted a strange spiritual wave. It silently covered 1,000 miles and enveloped every living being that entered the city. Meanwhile, Tu Linglong wandered around, wanting to know what was going on with this ancient city that suddenly appeared. Suddenly she saw a shop on the street with a large number of carrots on display, emitting an enchanting fragrance. She immediately became excited. Carrots, my God, there are so many carrots here. Her figure flickered and she flew over, sinking her whole body into the pile of carrots. Mine, all of them are mine. Tu Linglong revealed an extremely blissful expression. She had a dream of sleeping on a pile of carrots, and she didn't expect that it would finally come true today. This? Qing Wan was extremely vigilant. She felt that the appearance of this ancient city was too strange. There were no signs of human habitation, but a pile of carrots appeared. She subconsciously activated Qing Wan's eyes, wanting to see the surrounding environment clearly. I wonder what these carrots taste like? At this moment, Tu Linglong's stomach was bulging and she was drooling. She opened her mouth wanting to eat the carrots. Wait, Linglong. Qing Wan activated her Qing Wan's eyes and finally saw through the illusion of this place. She exclaimed, wanting to stop Tu Linglong's actions, but it was too late. With a smack, Tu Linglong bit down. Aya, why are these carrots so hard? She was very angry. She felt that the carrots in her hand were too stiff, and she couldn't bite them off. Because they were too hard, her teeth were chattering. Humph, I don't believe that I can't eat you. Tu Linglong bared her teeth. She was angry and decided to fight with these carrots. Don't eat them, Linglong. These are not carrots, they are stones. Qing Yuan walked forward, reached out her hand and tapped lightly. She instilled some magic power into Tu Linglong's divine sense. Boom! Immediately, Tu Linglong felt her divine sense clear, and the surrounding environment changed drastically. The ancient and grand city disappeared, turning into a barren plain. The originally fragrant carrots also disappeared, turning into hard stones. Tu Linglong's face turned green with anger when she saw the stone in her hand. She yelled, "Xiaoping! Bastard Xiaoping! Get the hell out here! Were you the one who played tricks just now?" She was furious. Other than that bastard Xiaoping, there was no one else who could do such a thing. Whoosh! Xiaoping's figure immediately appeared in front of Tu Linglong. He stroked his chin and said, "As expected, my illusion technique is still not good enough. I still can't hide it from some existences with special eyes. It seems that I still need to continue improving." He thought about the gains and losses of the illusion just now. Without a doubt, his illusions were powerful and realistic enough. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to tell the difference between illusions and reality. Their five senses would be completely blinded. However, some creatures had powerful eye techniques that could see through illusions, so his own illusions were useless. For example, he couldn't hide it from the Green Yuan's eyes, and he was still far from being able to do so. Even so, it was undeniable that Xiaoping's illusions were powerful. "Bastard human, you were the one who played tricks. You actually tricked me into eating stones. You super liar, go to hell." Tu Linglong was furious. The delicious carrots had turned into stones. If Sister Green Yuan hadn't told her in time, she might have already eaten a pile of stones. What a despicable act of deception. It was simply intolerable. Space kick. In an instant, Tu Linglong used the Spacetime Rabbit's bloodline ability and kicked over. Her entire body was fused with the power of space, and it was filled with spatial fluctuations. That stomp contained terrifying spatial power, and a large number of spatial runes appeared. They condensed together, causing ripples to appear in the surrounding space. Very strong. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He could feel how terrifying Tu Linglong's kick was. It contained powerful spatial power, and it was a kick that could completely challenge those of a higher level. Moreover, this kick entered the void and there were no energy fluctuations at all. It was simply impossible to guard against. If it wasn't for his powerful divine sense, he wouldn't have been able to sense it at all. One could imagine that Tu Linglong hadn't been sleeping for the past month or so. Instead, she had consumed a large number of dragon crystals, which made her cultivation advance by leaps and bounds. It also greatly enhanced and purified the Spacetime Rabbit's bloodline. However, no matter how strong this kick was, it was nothing to Xiaoping at the moment. Dong. Xiaoping made a move and gently slapped Tu Linglong's foot. Suddenly, the two forces collided and turned invisible. It was as if her foot had kicked on cotton, and she couldn't exert any strength. Damn it. Tu Linglong repeatedly kicked, and dense footprints appeared in midair. Each of her footprints shook the void and stirred up the wind and clouds, almost covering the entire world. Boom! However, Xiaoping didn't move at all. He activated the North Protective Art, and more than 100 layers of Kunping energy shields appeared on his body, blocking all the footprints. He couldn't even budge an inch. Tu Linglong fell to the ground, panting and sweating profusely. She had exhausted all her strength. "Stupid rabbit, do you still want to fight?" Xiaoping said proudly. "Bastard human, just you wait. Sooner or later you will also be beaten up by me." Tu Linglong was so angry that her pretty face turned red. Seeing Xiaoping's proud look, she couldn't wait to go up and beat this shameless human up. "Okay, I'll wait for that day," Xiaoping said lazily. Qing Yuan was extremely amazed. She didn't expect this human to have so many tricks up his sleeves. He even mastered a powerful illusion technique. She had no idea what his limit was. It was simply incredible. "Well, it's almost time. Let's leave this half-plane world. We still have to find the Dragonwood source." Xiaoping felt that it was also time to leave this place. After all, it was not long before he left the Dragonwood secret realm. Not only did he want to obtain the Dragonwood source, but he also wanted to obtain the famous corpse beast. He wanted to completely control it and enslave it, making it his own. "Okay, but how should we get out?" Qing Yuan asked. She also felt that it was time to leave. She had stayed in this place for too long. "That's easy." Xiaoping smiled slightly. He controlled the core of this half-plane world and could control the entrance and exit of this half-plane world. Boom! With a thought, a space channel was immediately opened, revealing a dark hole that connected to the outside world. Whoosh. Chapter 1630. What is this place? The Green One looked around. It was a dense forest, lush and green. She looked at Xia Ping with confusion. They had come out of the demi-plane world, but they were no longer in the same place but in an unfamiliar place. But this was normal because the spatial coordinates of this demi-plane world were constantly changing. Wandering around the Dragonwood Secret Realm, one could appear anywhere in the Dragonwood Secret Realm. Now that more than a month had passed, its spatial coordinates had changed countless times. I'm not sure, but let's ask the others first. They must know where this place is. Xia Ping decided to ask around. After all, he hadn't appeared for more than a month, and he didn't know what the situation was like in the Dragonwood Secret Realm. In order to ask around, he didn't want to expose his identity as Wu Wudi. Otherwise, it wouldn't be asking around but stirring up trouble. There seems to be a dangerous aura coming from ahead. Qing Wan's eyes lit up. She could feel an evil aura coming from tens of miles away. Zombie monsters, there's a large number of zombie monsters. Tu Linglong exclaimed. She spread her divine sense and immediately sensed the scene in the distance. She saw hundreds and thousands of zombie monsters in the depths of the forest. The so-called zombie monsters were monsters that were infected by zombie beasts. After being infected by the virus, they became mindless and murderous monsters. These zombie monsters wandered around the Dragonwood Secret Realm, and they could continuously infect the treasure-seeking creatures in the Dragonwood Secret Realm, turning them into their own kind. This caused the Dragonwood Secret Realm to be overrun with zombie monsters. Moreover, these zombie monsters were also very powerful. After being infected by the zombie beast's blood, they were constantly tempered and strengthened, activating all the potential in their bodies. Compared to their original owners, they were even stronger. These zombie monsters were not afraid of death and they were invulnerable. They even carried a virus in their bodies. As long as one was injured by them, they would be infected and quickly become one of the zombie monsters. Because of this, countless living beings that entered the Dragonwood Secret Realm were terrified of the zombies and avoided them as much as possible. There's still someone there. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. He sensed that these thousands of zombie monsters seemed to have surrounded a Fire Bear Clan warrior. They surrounded him tightly, and there was no way for him to escape. Over 100 formidable corpses that were the size of small mountains lay on the ground in the surroundings. They were drenched in blood and the ground was covered in holes. Obviously, they'd been killed by this Fire Bear Clan warrior. However, to the thousands of corpse monsters that did not fear death, it was only a drop in the ocean. It was not enough to instill fear in the corpse monsters. At this moment, this Fire Bear tribe warrior was sweating profusely. His stamina was depleted and he was panting heavily. There were no reinforcements around him and he was in imminent danger. Wait, I think I've seen this bear before. Xia Ping had a strange expression on his face. He recognized this Fire Bear race warrior. His name seemed to be Xiongbo or something. Previously, this fellow and a group of life forms from the Western cosmos had besieged him, but they had failed. As a result, he had shaved off all his fur and turned him into a hairless bear. He didn't expect to see this bear again in this place. I remember. I've seen this bear before. You were the one who shaved off all its fur. Tu Linglong also recognized him, and she looked at Xia Ping with a strange expression. Enemies were really bound to meet on a narrow road. He actually met a victim in this place. The world was really too small. What should we do? Are you going to hit me when I'm down? The Green Phoenix blinked. Xia Ping waved his hand. No, let's go and save him. This fellow seems to be a noble of the Fire Bear race. He should know quite a lot. He knew the identity of this Xiongbo. He seemed to be the descendant of some big figure in the Fire Bear race. A genius like him would definitely not appear in this place for no reason. If he saved this Xiongbo, he might be able to find out some important information from him. As soon as he said that, the three of them immediately flew over, descended from the sky, and bombarded these corpse monsters. In that instant, a series of terrifying powers descended from the sky like raindrops. One by one, the undead monsters could not withstand this torrential downpour of attacks. Dong dong dong. Immediately, the thousands of corpse monsters were completely bombarded to death. Their bodies were easily smashed into minced meat. Countless pits appeared on the ground and mud flew everywhere. Xiongbo was also shocked. He thought that he was dead for sure. Facing the siege of thousands of corpse monsters, as long as his skin was slightly cut and he was infected with the virus, he would definitely die. He was already prepared to sacrifice himself. He didn't expect that someone would save him at this time. He was extremely grateful. Brother, thank you so much. Thank you for saving my life, Xiongbo. Xiongbo cupped his hands and bowed to Xiaoping. His eyes were filled with gratitude. You're too kind. It was nothing. We're all living beings of the Western universe. We're on the same boat. We're mortal enemies with these corpse monsters. If I don't save you, who else should I save? Xiaoping said with a strong sense of righteousness, revealing a grand and righteous look. His current identity as a human was very different from the image of Luo Han's invincible Wu Di. No one knew the identities of Tu Linglong and the Green Phoenix, so he wasn't worried that his identity would be exposed by Xiongbo. Tu Linglong looked at Xiaoping in disdain. This human was very shameless. He didn't say that when he shaved off her fur. Hearing this, Xiongbo was even more grateful. He was extremely touched. Brother, I really didn't expect that when I, Xiongbo, am in danger, I would have the opportunity to meet such a good human like you. I'm really lucky. Brother Xiong, there's no need to be so polite. We're all brothers. Xiaoping waved his hand and said, by the way, don't you Bear Tribe always move in groups? Why are you alone now? Don't you know that the Dragonwood secret realm is very dangerous? Sigh, brother, don't mention it. Xiongbo gritted his teeth. I believe you've seen my current situation. Because of an accident, I lost all my fur, causing my image in the Bear Tribe to drop. The most infuriating thing is that my dozen or so girlfriends actually despised me when they saw me like this. They called me a hairless bear and abandoned me for other men. So in a fit of anger, I ran out and became alone. At this point he sighed. I've finally seen through women. Not a single one of them is good. Back then they said they would pledge their undying love to each other until death. Now that something happened, they abandoned me in the blink of an eye and ran away faster than anyone else. Back then those women fell in love with me because of my thick fur. To be honest, I really looked down on these superficial women. They only saw my handsome, rough and charming appearance, but they couldn't see my true nature. He sighed, revealing a look as if he had seen through the mortal world. Chapter 1631. Hearing this, Xiongbo immediately felt that Xiaoping was a bosom friend. This human really knew him too well. He said, brother, you're right. Your words touched me deeply. Indeed, it's their loss if they can't get such an outstanding bear like me. Why be angry with them? You and I really hit it off at first sight. Oh right, brother, you actually have such a deep understanding of this matter. Could it be that you've experienced something similar to mine? He always felt that this human in front of him had a deep past just like history. Sigh, to tell you the truth, I've indeed experienced something similar. Xiaoping stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His eyes were dazed as if he was immersed in his memories. I'm a man with a love constitution. It's very easy for me to fall in love with women. One day I passed by a dark alley and saw a girl who looked like a girl next door. At that time I felt as if I was struck by lightning. I felt that I was in love at first sight. That girl seemed to be the same. Sometimes people are like this. Even if they've known each other for many years, they're still strangers. However, some people become bosom friends for life with just a glance in the crowd. This is fate. It's too wonderful for words. Xiongbo could empathize with him. He felt that this person in front of him was simply a master. At this point, Xiaoping paused for a moment before continuing. That day, from knowing each other to falling in love, it only happened in a short hour. However, during this period of time, I felt as if I'd experienced a lifetime. An incredible chemical reaction occurred. The following development was also natural. That night, we went to a hotel to get a room. A man and a woman were alone in a room. Of course, the process of that night was very wonderful. It was an experience worth remembering for the rest of my life. Unfortunately, when I woke up the next day, the wonderful time was over. When I put on my pants and was about to leave, that woman suddenly changed her face. She asked me for money or she would call the police. So, to be honest, I was very sad because I really didn't expect that woman to be such a person. In the end, our relationship was just a transaction in her eyes. He had a face full of sorrow. Brother, I didn't expect you to have such a tragic experience. Even Xiongbo was crying bitterly. His emotions resonated with Xiaoping, and his sense of identification with him increased greatly. He even treated him as a confidant. Women are this kind of creatures. Snobbish, shameless, everything they do is for money. I've completely seen through them. Not a single one of them is good. He cursed. When Tu Linglong and Qing Wan heard this, they were speechless. It was just a story about a prostitute who didn't want to pay. What was there to be touched about? Was there something wrong with this bear's head? Xia Ping and Xiongbo chatted and quickly became good friends, greatly increasing Xiongbo's favorable impression of Xia Ping. "Brother, you saved my life just now and I'm very grateful. How about this, you come with me and I'll give you a great opportunity," Xiongbo said. Xia Ping blinked his eyes. "What opportunity?" "Dragonwood source." Xiongbo opened his mouth and said 4 words. Tu Linglong and Qing Wan pricked up their ears to listen. Their main purpose in coming to the Dragonwood secret realm was to obtain the Dragonwood source. Now that they had a chance to hear this news, they naturally wouldn't miss it. This was a treasure that countless creatures hoped to obtain. "I believe that brother also knows what the Dragonwood source is. Its original form is a Dragonwood tree, and the Dragonwood source is the core of the Dragonwood tree. Its most important essence is invaluable," Xiongbo said frankly. "And Dragonwood trees are usually born near the Dragon clan. They are a special kind of spirit tree that is watered by the essence of dragon chi, dragon saliva, dragon blood, and other kinds of energy. They have a weak spiritual intelligence, can walk on their own, and can even give birth to seeds that constantly reproduce. The Dragonwood secret realm was once a secret realm where the Dragon clan lived, and it was also the place where the Dragon clan saint lived. It can be imagined that the Dragonwood trees in this secret realm are much more precious than in other places." Xia Ping nodded. He also knew a lot about the Dragonwood trees. It was precisely because the Dragonwood trees were not ordinary trees, but living creatures that could walk on their own and even disguise themselves as other trees. Therefore it was extremely difficult to find the whereabouts of the Dragonwood trees. After all, the Dragonwood secret realm was too large and there were dense forests everywhere. Now, among tens of billions of trees, finding a few Dragonwood trees was no different from finding a needle in a haystack. In order to enter the Dragonwood secret realm and find the Dragonwood trees, one needed a lot of luck. Many people who entered this place basically returned empty-handed. "Listening to you, can it be that you can find the Dragonwood trees?" Xia Ping looked at Xiongbo. "That's right." Xiongbo admitted directly, "Although the Dragonwood trees have no fixed location and are difficult to find, there is a place where a large number of Dragonwood trees grow, and there is a large amount of Dragonwood source there." "Where?" Xia Ping, Tu Linglong and Qing Wan were all very curious. "The place where the corpse beast is sealed," Xiongbo said with a serious expression. "Back then, the sages used the power of 180 million Dragonwood trees to set up a Dragonwood 9 Palaces Heavenly Dipper formation to seal this undying and indestructible monster. Therefore, that place became a paradise for the growth of Dragonwood trees, and there are a large number of them. Of course, the place where the corpse beast is sealed is a top secret place, and not everyone can know about it." Xia Ping was inwardly overjoyed. This was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Unexpectedly, not only could he obtain the Dragonwood source, he could also find the place where the corpse beast was sealed. This was really great. However, he still maintained his composure and asked, "But the place where the corpse beast is sealed is protected by a saint's restriction formation. It won't be that easy to enter that place." Since the saints had set up the seal, it was impossible for there to be no defensive measures. After all, the saints would also prevent people from deliberately destroying the restriction formation. This is my Xiongbo's method. In fact, this is also a technique that the ancestors of my Fire Bear clan have explored," Xiongbo said proudly. "After tens of thousands of years of exploration, we also found some flaws in the restriction formation, and we can enter the outer area of the sealed place to hunt the Dragonwood trees. As long as we don't kill too many Dragonwood trees, the restriction formation won't backfire, and we can easily obtain the Dragonwood source. But in fact, there are also many people who know about this. If you want to hunt the Dragonwood trees in the outer area, you will most likely have conflicts with other races, and even have to fight to the death. Moreover, because it is a sealed place, the number of corpse beasts that appear in this place is not ordinary. If you are not careful, you will be surrounded by corpse beasts, and at that time 9 out of 10 will die." He described the dangers of this sealed place. "Then where exactly is this sealed area?" Xia Ping asked. "It is about 3,000 li from here, not very far. I can lead the way." Chapter 1632. Along the way, Xia Ping and Xiongbo chatted happily. He said that he and Xiongbo were already sworn brothers, and if he needed any help he could just ask. Hearing this, Xiongbo was extremely touched. He also knew Xia Ping's name now. "Brother Xia, to be honest, I do have a sworn enemy that I want to kill. Because that bastard is too evil, crazy and evil. If he doesn't get his retribution, I won't be able to vent my anger. I even have nightmares every night and it's my biggest nightmare." He gritted his teeth. There's such a thing? Even such a kind-hearted brother Xiong sees him as an enemy. It seems that person is extremely evil and everyone has the right to kill him. Who is he? Xiaoping blinked his eyes, revealing a curious look. Demonic monk Wu Wudi. Xiong Bo gritted his teeth, his eyes blazing. If that bastard appears in front of me, I will definitely eat his flesh. If it weren't for that damn bald donkey, I wouldn't have ended up like this. Wu Wudi? I seem to have heard of this name somewhere. Xiaoping seemed to be confused. Tu Linglong looked at Xiaoping with disdain. This human's ability to play dumb was really top-notch. Jing Wan laughed. Men were indeed liars. Not a single word they said was true. It's normal that you have heard of him. What Wu Wudi did is simply infuriating. He has committed many evil deeds, and the number of crimes he has committed is simply too many to count. Countless races in the Western universe have already put him on the wanted list. Brother, my hair was shaved by this demonic monk. This is the revenge of disfigurement, and it's absolutely irreconcilable. Xiong Bo thought of what happened that day and he trembled with anger. I see. Don't worry, as long as we meet that demonic monk Wu Wudi, I will kill him with you. I guarantee that he will be beaten into a turtle. Xiaoping patted his chest and vowed. Xiong Bo was grateful. As expected of his best friend. With just one sentence he would go through life and death together to avenge him. Tu Linglong despised this bear even more. What bullshit, this was a fake brother. Once Xiong Bo knew that this kid was Wu Wudi, he would immediately turn hostile and fight to the death. However, she didn't say anything. She still wanted to use Xiong Bo's power to find the location of the dragonwood source. One day later. Under Xiong Bo's lead, Xiaoping and the others quickly arrived at the sealed area. This was a vast and boundless forest. It was lush and verdant, but it was enveloped by a super formation. The energy cover was like an eggshell that shrouded down from the sky, leaving almost no gaps. If anyone dared to force their way in, they would immediately trigger the restrictive formation and be instantly killed, dying without a complete corpse. Is this the sealed area? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He could sense that there was a gigantic formation set up in this vast forest. It was branded in the void, forming a three-dimensional seal from the sky to the ground. No one would be able to pass through from the sky or underground. It was as if an independent cage had been formed. Densely packed runes interweaved together, causing one's scalp to go numb. It could only be said that this restrictive formation was indeed the work of a sage. It was simply too shocking. Very strong. Xiaoping's divine sense continued to seep in. He could sense that this sealed area was filled with densely packed dragonwood trees. Each tree seemed to be thousands of years old or even tens of thousands of years old. Their bodies were filled with the aura of a true dragon. These true dragon auras were fused together by the restrictive formation, turning into 108,000 true dragons. They were like chains of order, completely sealing this place. Vaguely, there seemed to be a true dragon in the sky above the forest, roaming in the sea of clouds. This is the aura of a corpse beast. At the same time, Xiaoping could also sense a powerful evil aura coming from the depths of this forest. It was deep and dark, as if a peerless ferocious beast was crawling, waiting for an opportunity to escape. It was really hard to imagine that this corpse beast was still so ferocious and full of baleful aura after being sealed for such a long time. It didn't seem to have weakened with the passage of time. There are many camps here. Tu Linglong and Qing Wan looked around and found that there were many camps around the sealed area. These camps were built by the major races and forces of the Western cosmos. They were also scattered in various corners, not interfering with one another to maintain a certain degree of balance. It was clear that it wasn't just the bear tribe that knew of this place. The angel tribe, Luohan tribe, vermilion bird tribe, antelope tribe, and other races also knew of this sealed area and came here to hunt dragonwood trees. The appearance of Xiaoping and the others immediately attracted the attention of many races, and they all turned their eyes toward them. Humans? Right at this moment, a ferocious tiger the size of a small mountain leaped out and roared, "This is the camp of the Western cosmos myriad races. It's not a place you humans can come to. Scram." Its voice was like a clap of thunder on a clear day. It was earth-shattering and sound waves surged forth, producing an extremely powerful deterrent force. Just hearing this roar would immediately make a normal living being's legs turn to jelly. This was a renowned race of the Western cosmos, the Silver Tiger. It looked at Xiaoping with an unfriendly gaze as it issued a warning. Seeing this situation, the elites of the other races also frowned, not welcoming the arrival of Xiaoping and the others. "Little cat, don't provoke me." Xia Ping glanced at the silver tiger from the corner of his eyes. What? The silver tiger flew into a rage. A puny human actually dared to disobey its will. Its body emitted a ferocious aura, and its whole body shone with a silver light. What are you looking at? Do you believe that I won't kill you? Xia Ping said indifferently. The group of elites was dumbfounded. This human was completely crazy. Did he not know that this was the territory of many races of the Western cosmos, and there were countless experts here? This wasn't the base camp of the humans. It was fine if he didn't admit defeat, but now he actually dared to be so arrogant and even dared to provoke the silver tiger. Human, you're courting death. The silver tiger was furious and wanted to kill Xia Ping. Hu hai, that's enough. At this moment Xiongbo stood out. His mountain-like body was incomparably majestic and full of pressure. He stood in front of Xia Ping and said, "This human is my brother. Try and touch him if you dare." He clearly knew this silver tiger and had been friends in the past. "Xiongbo, you're actually protecting a human?" Hu hai roared and his eyes turned red. He didn't expect the bear race to come out to protect this arrogant human. He was even more furious. "Xiongbo, you're really a disgrace to our race. You're actually brothers with a human. You're the shame of our race. Ever since you were defeated by the demonic monk Wu Wudi and all your fur was shaved, you've given up on yourself and fallen to such a state? You've really disappointed us. If that's the case, then you're not qualified to be a member of our race. It's a shame to be associated with us." Chapter 1633. You. Xiongbo's expression turned ugly when he heard that. He didn't expect so many demons to not give him face and cause trouble on the spot. "What? Xiongbo, do you think you're still the same as before? You were defeated by a bald donkey of the Luohan and had all your hair shaved off? You've long become the laughingstock of the Western universe. Now you still dare to speak loudly here. You really have no sense of shame. If I were you, I would have killed myself with a piece of tofu so that I wouldn't continue to embarrass myself." At that moment, a bronze scorpion spoke. Its entire body seemed to be made of bronze and emitted waves of green light. It was in the shape of a liquid and was extremely hard. It emitted an awe-inspiring might. The bronze scorpion was an absolutely tyrannical demon in the universe. It had a full body of bronze armor and unparalleled defense. It rarely had a match. It also had an unparalleled scorpion venom. Ordinary demons had to respect it. Xiongbo was furious. Although he knew that his status was not as good as before, he didn't expect to be looked down upon by his peers. All of them dared to look down on him. "Scorpion, did I allow you to speak? You're quite bold to dare look down on my brother. Do you want to be steamed or barbecued?" Xia Ping shouted. The demons were in an uproar. This human was extremely arrogant to be targeted by so many demons. He still dared to speak so loudly. Didn't he know that he was making an enemy of so many demons? He should quickly tuck his tail between his legs. "Lowly human, do you know who you're talking to? Don't you know that a loose tongue can cause trouble? Be careful, it won't be just you. Even the family behind you will flow with rivers of blood." The bronze scorpion's eyes revealed a fierce glint. Its body was filled with a terrifying murderous aura. It had killed at least 8,000 humans. It didn't care if it had one more undead on its hands. "This human is tired of living. Let me kill him." Suddenly, the silver tiger seemed to be unable to bear it any longer. It charged at Xia Ping. Silver-white runes came crashing down like a flood. Its power was boundless and terrifying, almost destroying the ground. A strong wind swept in all directions, causing the surrounding demons to retreat quickly. Otherwise they would definitely be affected. "Brother Xia!" Xiongbo exclaimed. He wanted to stop it, but the silver tiger was too fast. He was caught off guard. Before he could do anything, the silver tiger had arrived in front of Xia Ping. A terrifying tiger claw slammed down. With such power, even a mountain would be smashed into smithereens. The surrounding demons were filled with pity as they shook their heads. It was as though they could already imagine the human being smashed into meat paste by the silver tiger's claws, dying without a complete corpse. But in the next second they saw a scene that shocked them. Xia Ping stood in place, not moving at all. A thin layer of energy appeared on his body, and the tiger's claw slammed against it. The group of demons thought that the silver tiger would be able to easily shatter the energy barrier. They never expected that the silver tiger would instead let out a blood-curdling screech as it received a powerful rebounding force. Its body was sent flying for several kilometers as it let out a blood-curdling screech. Its claws were numb and blood seeped out. But Xia Ping remained motionless, standing in the same place. Is that all you've got? Silver Tiger. Xia Ping looked at the Silver Tiger indifferently. Human, don't look down on my Silver Tiger. The Silver Tiger was infuriated when it saw Lin Fan's gaze and tone. It would lose face if it couldn't take care of Lin Fan in front of so many monsters and geniuses. Roar. The Silver Tiger's 4 hooves slammed on the ground, letting out an earth-shattering roar. The entire ground cracked and the shockwaves spread for thousands of miles. The surroundings were filled with terrifying killing intent. Go to hell, bastard human. The Silver Tiger pounced towards Lin Fan. The silver light on its body flowed and turned into a silver light screen. The silver light screen was filled with runes and formed a terrifying array. This attack was comparable to the attack of a peak returning True Realm cultivator. But when the attack landed on Xia Ping's body, it was instantly wrapped up by layers of Kunping runes. Layer by layer, the attack was weakened and quickly neutralized. In the end, the Silver Tiger's attack turned into nothingness as if it was swallowed by the sea. Oh my god. The surrounding demons were stunned. They could see how terrifying the Silver Tiger's attack was. None of the demons present had the confidence to block it and could only avoid it. But this human didn't even move and easily blocked the attack. It was too exaggerated. Xiongbo also rubbed his eyes. This was the first time he saw Xia Ping display such tyrannical strength. Previously, when he dealt with the zombie monsters, he also made a move. But that time it was too fast. Before it even started, it was already over, so he couldn't see anything. But it was different now. The Silver Tiger was the reference. Silver Tiger, you only have this little strength. Did you not eat? You can't even hurt my skin and you dare to challenge me? Aren't you a bit too arrogant? Do you know how much you are worth? Why don't you go home and practice before coming out? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows and gave his suggestion. Human, you're courting death. You're courting death. The Silver Tiger was so angry that its lungs were about to explode. It flew into a rage. It was a famous genius of the Silver Tiger clan, and there was nothing it didn't know in the Western cosmos. This damned human actually told it to go home and train, and even said that it only had this little bit of strength. If it couldn't kill this human today, it would rather go home and kill itself with a piece of tofu. It couldn't afford to lose its face. Die. The Silver Tiger was furious. It was going all out. Its whole body emitted a dazzling silver-white light. A silver-white sacred tiger vaguely appeared behind it and branded the void. One after another, greater rays appeared and devoured the blood-evil chi in the void. Then they fused together. It was obvious that the Silver Tiger was completely enraged and wanted to burn its blood and chi to fight Xia Ping. Retreat, retreat quickly. The Silver Tiger is crazy. The surrounding monsters were shocked. They could feel the terror of this attack. It had completely surpassed the Silver Tiger's current martial arts cultivation. It had almost reached another level. If they took this attack, even if they didn't die, they would probably be seriously injured. But before the Silver Tiger could attack, Xia Ping suddenly moved. He rushed forward and punched. His fist was enveloped in white light. Circles after circles of runes appeared on his fist. It was like a star rolling over. It was indestructible and impossible to not break. Dong. With just one strike, the formations on the Silver Tiger's body were smashed into pieces like glass. Cracking sounds could be heard as the power of the fist seeped into its internal organs. Ah! Immediately, it let out a shrill scream. Its whole body smashed into the ground, creating a huge pit. With a cracking sound, dozens of cracks appeared on the ground, extending for dozens of kilometers. Human, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. The Silver Tiger was furious. A large amount of blood seeped out of the corner of its mouth. Its internal organs were damaged. Even though it had suffered this attack, it still stood up with the tenacious vitality of the Silver Tiger clan. Chapter 1634. Boom. The Silver Tiger pounced on Xia Ping and attacked with its claws. However, it couldn't break through the energy barrier around Xia Ping. It let out an unwilling roar and was incomparably angry. So little strength? Weak, too weak. Did you not eat? With a bang, Xia Ping punched and sent the Silver Tiger flying like a ball. It smashed into the ground again. Dozens of its bones were broken. No. The Silver Tiger struggled to get up, but Xia Ping flew over again. Another fist descended from the sky, bombarding its body, smashing it back into the deep pit. What do you mean no? Answer my question. I'm asking if you haven't eaten? Xia Ping punched again and again. Every punch was like a falling star. It was incomparably heavy. Even with the silver tiger's tyrannical physique, it couldn't bear it and was smashed into a bloody mess. I really ate. The silver tiger shouted. It wanted to leave and get away from this human demon. It was incomparably terrified. How was this a human? He was clearly a demon in human skin. Bullshit, I ate. Why are you so weak? I told you to use more strength. Why is your strength so little? Are you looking down on me? With a bang, Xiaoping slapped again. The silver tiger's teeth were broken and blood was dripping. Help, this human is a madman. Save me. The silver tiger collapsed and shouted for help. It was already beaten to this state and was about to die. Why was he still holding back? This crazy human didn't understand this logic. Save my ass. You are a tiger and you still want me to save you? Don't you have any shame? Xiaoping slapped it again and smashed it into the ground like a ball. It was badly mutilated and on the verge of death. The silver tiger let out a blood-curdling scream. It felt its consciousness blurred. Its whole body felt like it was being bitten by millions of ants. His bones were all broken. It felt like it was suffering the greatest pain in its life. Vaguely, it seemed to see its ancestor waving at it from the other side of a river, asking it to go over. Xiongbo and the other demons were dumbfounded. This was the first time they had seen the ferocious, majestic and insufferably arrogant silver tiger being beaten like a ball. If they hadn't confirmed it again and again, they would have thought it was an illusion. When did the silver tiger become so weak that it couldn't even beat a weak human? Stop, human, are you trying to kill it? His 3 silver tiger brethren couldn't bear to watch any longer. They jumped out and stared at Xiaoping with unfriendly expressions. Terrifying killing intent enveloped him as they tried to save Hu Hai. No matter what, they wouldn't allow their brothers of the same clan to be killed here. This concerned the honor of the Silver Tiger clan. Get lost, don't get in the way. Xiaoping instantly threw out 3 punches. Martial Path Mystical Ability, Lightning Fist. Immediately, 3 fists formed from lightning appeared in the air. Countless lightning runes intertwined and condensed together. They shot out like lightning spears. Dong dong dong. The 3 silver tigers didn't even have time to react. A lightning shadow flashed in their eyes, and in the next second, their bodies were hit by the fists. Their bodies felt like they had been pierced through by lightning spears. The terrifying power of lightning rampaged inside their bodies, charring all the hair on their bodies and making it stand on end. His fist energy even reached the heavens, producing a terrifying destructive power. He was instantly sent flying, smashing through over a dozen mountains before he finally managed to slow down the impact and come to a stop. But by then they couldn't stop vomiting blood. Their internal organs were injured and they couldn't even stand up anymore. Oh my god, he's too strong. 3 punches in an instant, and 3 silver tigers were defeated and sent flying dozens of miles away. Who is the beast here? How can a human be this strong? Without a doubt, he must be one of the human race's geniuses with the strongest body. Otherwise, how could his body's power be on par with us beasts? A human with the strongest body would appear in the Dragonwood secret realm? What is his purpose? All the monsters were shocked and dumbfounded. 1 against 3, and yet 3 silver tigers were sent flying without any resistance. This was enough to prove how strong this human was. Although they looked down on the weak body of humans, a human with the strongest body was undoubtedly a monster who could stand at the peak of the universe. Who would dare to look down on him? Damn, where's the bronze scorpion? Where did it go? Some of the demons looked around. The previously arrogant bronze scorpion was now hiding somewhere. It was as though it had disappeared without a trace. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't find a trace of it. It wanted to summon the bronze scorpion to fight the human and show off the monsters of the Western universe. Damn, this thing ran away when it saw the situation wasn't good. Fuck, is this still the famous bronze scorpion? Why is it so cowardly? I didn't plan to fight this human at all. Fight my ass. It's a monster human with the strongest body. Unless it's a monster who inherited a top-tier bloodline, fighting it is just asking for trouble. To be honest, although the bronze scorpion is a powerful monster in the Western universe, it can't be compared to the monster human in the entire universe. Even so, it can't run without fighting. It's a coward. To think it's a genius of the bronze scorpion race. I was wrong about it. All the monsters looked at it with disdain. A genius of the bronze scorpion race actually ran away when it saw the situation wasn't good. It ran away faster than anyone else. How shameless. In the distance, the escaping bronze scorpion heard the monster's discussion. It sneered. What a bunch of idiots. Fighting a monster human like that, even a few lives wouldn't be enough. To be honest, its strength was about the same as Hu Hai's. Even Hu Hai was beaten to this state. Wouldn't it be looking for trouble if it went up? It would just be beaten up. Moreover, this wasn't running away but a strategic retreat. This was the wisdom of the bronze scorpion race. It would wait until it was strong in the future before fighting this human again. Alright, how do you want to be eaten by me now? Do you want to be roasted, cut into pieces, or steamed? I'm very familiar with these cooking methods. Xia Ping looked down from above and gave his cooking suggestion. Can you not eat me? Hearing this, Hu Hai's face turned green. He weakly gave his suggestion. He was now a fish on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. He couldn't escape even if he wanted to. He regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have offended this terrifying human. However, he didn't know that this human was so sick. It didn't make sense at all. What do you think? Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. Feeling Xia Ping's killing intent, Hu Hai was scared half to death. His huge body seemed to shrink a lot as he said weakly, actually, if I say that I'm not from the silver tiger race, but a cat with raw meat and not tasty at all, would you believe me? Chapter 1635. Hearing Hu Hai's words, the surrounding demons were speechless. The dignified silver tiger actually went against his conscience and said that he was a cat in order to live. That was really embarrassing. However, Hu Hai was helpless. Compared to his own life, how much was his dignity worth? If he really was roasted by this human here, that would be a huge loss. So what if the silver tiger elder avenged him? He couldn't come back to life, so what was the use? Brother Xia let him live. Xiongbo stood up at this time. He's a genius of the White Tiger clan and his father is an elder. If he dies here, it will cause a lot of trouble. Of course, the most important reason is that the Fire Bear clan and the White Tiger clan have always been on good terms. I hope that Brother Xia can forgive him this once. I don't think he'll dare provoke you again. Hearing this, Hu Hai was moved to tears. He didn't think that Xiongbo would stand up for him. Alright, since Brother Xiong says so, I have to give you face. Xia Ping actually didn't want to kill Hu Hai. After all, the Silver Tiger clan had quite a bit of power in the Dragonwood Secret Realm. There was even a Tribulation Realm expert here. If he killed Hu Hai, it would definitely provoke the big boss behind him. Of course, he wasn't afraid of fighting to the death, but it would affect his plans. He might even be forced to reveal his identity as Wu Wudi. It wasn't worth it. With Xiongbo giving him a way out, Xia Ping naturally followed suit. Thank you for your magnanimity, Brother Xia. I, Hu Hai, swear that I will never fight against you again. However, can you return my spatial ring to me? Hu Hai stared at Xia Ping. After the beating just now, his spatial ring had been taken away by this despicable human. That spatial ring contained all the treasures he had on him, and there were even quite a few that he had obtained from the Dragonwood Secret Realm. If he lost this spatial ring, he would definitely suffer heavy losses. Is that so? You still have a spatial ring? Why didn't I notice? Where did you put it? Xia Ping narrowed his eyes and stared at Hu Hai with a murderous look. Hu Hai immediately shuddered and began to tremble. He felt that if he still dared to ask for his space ring back, he would probably lose his life. After weighing the pros and cons, he immediately decided to give up on the treasures on him. He said, I'm sorry, I really did remember incorrectly. I don't have a space ring or anything like that. Many of the demons had strange expressions on their faces. The poor silver tiger was actually forced into such a situation. It clearly had all its treasures stolen, but it didn't even dare to let out a fart. It seems that your memory is not bad, but sometimes it's normal to remember things wrongly. Maybe it'll be fine after you get beaten up. Xia Ping was very satisfied and showed a look of teaching. Hu Hai bared his teeth. If he was beaten up again, he would kick the bucket. Thinking of this, he didn't dare to stay here with this human demon. He immediately said goodbye and returned to his silver tiger camp. Brother Xia, follow me. My Fire Bear Race's camp is over there. You can rest there for a while. Xiongbo led the way, bringing Xia Ping, Tu Linglong and Qing Luan to the Fire Bear Race's camp. None of the surrounding monsters dared to stop them. The Silver Tiger's fate was a good example. Soon they arrived at the Fire Bear Race's camp. There were many huge tents set up here. Fire bears the size of small mountains appeared here, looking incomparably violent. Many of the fire bears were even fighting each other in an empty space because they were bored. Xiongbo, you're back. I told you not to throw a tantrum. It's just a breakup. It's nothing. I heard that you know a human genius. Even that brat Hu Hai was taught a lesson by him. Yeah, hurry up and call him out so we can get to know each other. I haven't seen many humans yet. This is a human. He's so small he doesn't even reach my knees. Such a small human actually defeated the silver tiger? It's really unbelievable. Just how powerful is his body? When Xiongbo returned to the camp, many fire bears came out. They heard that a human had come to their camp and even defeated the insufferably arrogant Hu Hai. They were all curious and wanted to see for themselves. Suddenly, the surroundings became dark, as if they were surrounded by many mountains. Xiaping, Tu Linglong and Qing Wan were all speechless. They felt like they were rare animals being watched. Okay, move to the side. Don't disturb our guests. Xiongbo's face turned serious, telling the fire bears to scram. Then he brought Xiaping, Tu Linglong and Qing Wan to a corner of the camp. There was an empty tent there that could be used as a temporary resting place. Can't we go into the sealed land now? Xiaping asked. Don't worry. Xiongbo smiled. You can rest tonight. Tomorrow I will bring you into the sealed land to hunt dragon trees. After saying this he left, not disturbing Xiaping and the others' rest. After seeing Xiongbo leave, Xiaping immediately set up a formation in this tent, forming an independent space that isolated the outside world. No one's divine sense could sense the sounds inside the tent. Later I will leave the tent quietly. You two stay here and help me be an alibi, Xiaping said to Tu Linglong and Qing Wan. You want to leave the tent? What are you doing? Tu Linglong immediately knew that Xiaping was up to something. Otherwise, why would he leave so quietly? What's your plan? Qing Wan looked at Xiaping. She felt that Xiaping wasn't very interested in hunting dragon trees. Instead, he was plotting something even more terrifying. She wanted to know what Xiaping was planning. Don't worry, you won't be in any danger this time. In any case, I will first explore the 9 Palaces Heavenly Dipper Grand Formation and will be back soon. Remember, don't leak the news that I left the camp. Xiaping didn't explain in detail because he wanted to see the place where the corpse beasts were sealed. He wanted to know if there was a way to break the seal and completely enslave them. This matter was too shocking. If Qing Wan and Tu Linglong learned about it, they would probably be exposed. There was no need to let them know. What? Tu Linglong and Qing Wan wanted to ask more, but Xiaping didn't continue. His figure flickered, and he used the formless mask's power to disappear from the tent. Damn, this human bastard always talks to himself. Tu Linglong clenched her teeth, but there was nothing she could do to Xiaping. There's nothing we can do. We've already boarded a pirate ship. Chapter 1636. In the Sealed Land. Whoosh. Xiaping's figure flickered. He avoided the gazes of countless people and sneaked into this place. As soon as he entered, he immediately discovered that the sealed land was completely different from the outside world. This was a completely independent space. Moreover, this space was divided into 3 parts: the outer world, the middle world, and the inner world. Among them, the outer world was the largest. It was boundless and filled with dragon trees. The restriction formation in this outer world was also the weakest. As long as one was careful, they wouldn't touch it. The restriction power in the middle world was more than 10 times stronger. Only those above the Transcendence realm could barely enter. As for the inner world, it was where the corpse beasts were sealed. Even Thunder Tribulation realm experts couldn't approach it. Even Xiaping discovered that the outer world was strange. There was a strange black aura everywhere. It was the strange energy emitted by the corpse beast. It affected this space and had a corrosive nature. It was because of this strange energy that the dragon trees seemed to have mutated. They were also corroded and turned into corpse beasts with terrifying infectious properties. I didn't expect the dragon trees to be corroded too. Xiaping's expression was solemn. He finally understood why so many experts from the Western universe couldn't easily kill the dragon trees and obtain the dragonwood source. It really was because this place was full of danger. There were many large trees growing here, and no one knew which dragonwood tree had been corroded and which dragonwood tree hadn't been corroded. If one wasn't careful, the dragon trees that had become corpse beasts could shoot out a branch from the dark and instantly penetrate one's body, allowing the virus to invade. Then, even a Thunder Tribulation realm expert would be finished. He also understood why Xiongbo didn't let them move at night. It was because it was the most dangerous at night. There was no light and there was darkness everywhere. The dragon trees that had become corpse beasts could appear and disappear unpredictably. If one was careless, they would probably die. Entering the sealed land at night was no different from courting death. But to Xiaping this wasn't a big problem. he used the formless mask to transform himself into a seemingly corroded dragon tree. That way he would become one of the dragon tree's people and wouldn't suffer any attacks. This feeling. Xiaoping closed his eyes. He could feel the world tree sapling trembling in the depths of his mind. It was filled with the power of the world tree, and a green light seeped into every cell in his body. He felt like he was the ancestor of all trees, able to control countless plant life in the universe. Even the dragonwood tree, which had turned into a zombie monster, could not escape his control. Under his perception, the aura of countless dragon trees in this sealed land appeared in his mind, turning into countless light spots. The infected dragon trees were black light spots, and the uninfected ones were white light spots. On the other hand, the black spots occupied 80% of all the spots, and only 20% were not infected. In fact, the number of infected spots was still increasing. A cold light flashed in Xiaoping's eyes as his heart trembled. There was an 80% chance that there were corpse monsters and draconic trees here. How was this a place for treasures? It was clearly a place of death. Fortunately, he had the non-phase mask, otherwise, it would be difficult for him to move even an inch in this place. It seems like it can control these dragonwood trees. Xiaoping had a feeling that if he circulated the energy of the world tree, he would be able to control all the dragon trees in this sealed place, even the infected ones. Facing the power of the ancestor of all trees, they simply could not resist. An idea flashed in his mind. If he used the power of the world tree, he might be able to transplant these dragonwood trees into the space of his mountain river pearl. Then wouldn't he be able to obtain a large amount of dragonwood source? But now was not the time to do such things. He should first explore the place where the corpse beasts were sealed. Thinking of this, Xiaoping did not hesitate. He stayed where he was and quickly walked towards the inner world of the sealed land. Soon he left the outer world and arrived in the middle world. But because he was a dragon tree, the entire restrictive formation did not seem to have any effect on him. This formation had the power to identify outsiders, and it could sense unfamiliar auras. A few hours later, Xiaoping flew all the way and finally reached the inner space. What a powerful restrictive formation! Xiaoping exclaimed. The inner space was not very big, about the size of an ordinary cage. But there were a total of 18,000 layers of rune formations arranged around it. Layer after layer of restrictive formations stacked on top of each other, causing one's scalp to go numb. Most likely, even a Thunder Tribulation Realm expert would be as weak as a baby if they were sealed in such a way, unable to move. Moreover, there was an astonishing restrictive aura in the surroundings, branded in the void. If anyone dared to touch the restrictive formation here, they would definitely suffer a terrifying attack that would destroy everything. At this moment, in the inner space, there was a monster the size of a small mountain that was tied up. There were seal chains binding its body, making it unable to exert any power. Its entire body was pitch black and it had thick hair. It had fangs, scarlet eyes, and its body was like a gorilla. Its entire body was filled with explosive muscles, giving off a strange and evil aura. Moreover, Xiaoping could sense that this monster's consciousness was chaotic. The depths of its mind seemed to be filled with endless greed and destruction. There was no way to communicate with it. Once this monster was freed, it would definitely wreak havoc everywhere. But even if he wanted to break this restrictive formation, he could not. After all, this was a restriction set up by a sage. It was not that easy to break it. No, I just don't have a way. I wonder if the system has a way? Xiaoping's heart moved and he thought of the power of the system. Host, you can purchase a holy level restriction breaking talisman, which can break most holy level formations. It requires 2 billion hatred points. The system also heard Xiaoping's voice and immediately said, 2 billion hatred points. Xiaoping took a deep breath. This was indeed a sky-high priced treasure, and it was a one-time use treasure. It was too extravagant. But if he could enslave the corpse beast, a mere 2 billion hatred points would be nothing. Instead, it would be worth it. Thinking of this, he spent 2 billion hatred points to exchange for the holy level restriction breaking talisman. However, he did not immediately start to break the restrictive formation in this place. Because if he broke it now and let the corpse beast run out, with the terrifying power of the corpse beast, he would not be able to deal with it, let alone enslave it. Therefore, he must find a way to consume the corpse beast's vitality and let its strength be in its weakest state, so that it would be convenient for him to enslave the corpse beast. It seems that I must gather most of the great powers of the dragonwood secret realm together and use the power of many great powers to deal with the corpse beast, let both sides consume each other, and then secretly capture the corpse beast. Moreover, I can also take the opportunity to gain the hatred points of many races in the Western universe to make up for this loss. Chapter 1637. Half an hour later. The five-colored phoenixes and peacock warriors finally woke up, but they immediately let out miserable screams because their spatial rings and dragonwood source had disappeared. Goddamn thief, how dare you steal the treasures of our peacock race? I will not forgive you. The peacock warriors were incomparably angry, and their hearts were filled with rage. The dragonwood source that they had painstakingly obtained, as well as all the treasures they had on them, had been taken away by this thief. How could they tolerate such a thing? They were completely enraged. But the five-colored phoenixes let out even more miserable screams, and those who heard them would cry. It was 100 times more miserable than the sound of a pig being slaughtered. When the warriors of the peacock race looked over, they were dumbfounded as well. That was because the warriors of the rainbow phoenix race had all their feathers plucked clean off their bodies. One had to know that the five-colored phoenixes were one of the nobility of the bird race, and their five-colored feathers were even more gorgeous than those of the peacock race. This made them incomparably arrogant, high and mighty, and insufferably arrogant. But now all the five-colored feathers on their bodies had been plucked, and they looked like drowned chickens. Such a scene was too shocking. What made them even more dumbfounded was that these five-colored phoenixes had a few words written on them with a brush. Wu Wudi is my father is Wu Wudi is my ancestor, and so on. And these words were extremely harsh, and it made the clean-loving five-colored phoenixes go crazy. Some of them could not bear such a blow, and directly fainted, escaping from reality. Damn, Wu Wudi has appeared again. This bastard is robbing us again? The peacock warriors were shocked and angry. They finally knew who the robber was. It turned out that it was that demonic monk Wu Wudi. Previously, they had suffered from the evil hands of this bastard bald donkey, and now he was robbing them again. He was like a ghost that refused to go away, as if he had his eyes on the peacock race's treasures. Bald donkey Wu Wudi, you're dead. I want to kill that bald donkey, I must kill him and tear him apart. Boo-hoo, I don't know how long I've taken care of my beautiful five-colored feathers, but they've all been plucked off by this damned bald donkey. This enmity is absolutely irreconcilable. We have to kill him. Kill that bald donkey. How dare he ride on our bodies? He's courting death. Humiliation. This is the humiliation of our five-colored phoenix race. We must mobilize the entire race's strength to capture this bald donkey and tear his corpse into 10,000 pieces. We must tear his corpse into 10,000 pieces. The Rainbow Luan race's warriors were infuriated. When they saw their current miserable state, they simply had murderous intentions. Not only were all of their feathers stripped, there were even those words left on their bodies. This was simply the greatest humiliation. Meanwhile, the peacock race's expressions were strange. This time their feathers hadn't been harmed. When they saw the Rainbow Luan's miserable state, they all rejoiced in its misfortune. Even the gloominess of losing their treasures lessened quite a bit. This group of five-colored phoenixes had been so arrogant. Now they finally knew how powerful the demonic monk Wu Wudi was. All of the peacock race warriors felt extremely pleased in their hearts. Evil people would be tortured by evil people. They reckoned that after this, the Rainbow Luan would never dare to mock the peacock clan again. Next, Xiaoping repeatedly committed crimes in the outer space of the sealed land. He used the power of the formless mask to transform into all sorts of objects and hide in the surroundings. He specifically looked for lone or weak Western cosmos geniuses to attack. Taking advantage of this group of people's carelessness, he immediately gave them a sneak attack and plundered all of their treasures. Because of the existence of the true insight of illusions, he could instantly create an illusion barrier with a single thought. Without a sound, this group of Western cosmos elites were all taken down. It could be said that illusions were simply an unsolvable power. It was the highest technique used to plot against people. If one's divine sense wasn't strong enough, they wouldn't be able to withstand it and would instantly be knocked unconscious. There were simply too few people who could withstand Xiaoping's divine sense. At the very least, one had to be a transcendence realm expert to be able to do so. However, he definitely wouldn't provoke those above the transcendence realm. He would avoid fighting them. Thus, Xiaoping didn't experience any battles. In fact, the duration of the battles was very short, ending in the blink of an eye. This group of Western cosmos warriors couldn't do anything even if they wanted to rescue him. And the storm of this matter quickly spread, affecting many people. Almost every race that entered the Dragonwood secret realm fell victim to Xia Ping's evil hands and suffered heavy losses. Come out, bald donkey Wu Wudi. Come out if you have the guts. That's right. What kind of hero is hiding in the dark and launching sneak attacks? You call yourself an elite of the Luohan? Are you still a Buddhist? Hiding your head and showing your tail, robbing people, committing all sorts of crimes. Why are you chanting sutras and worshipping Buddha? Return our treasures immediately, or we won't let you off. You want to live after offending the major races of our Western cosmos? That's impossible. Come out immediately and kneel down to surrender. Otherwise your race will definitely be wiped out in the future. Bitch, I'm still a child. How dare you steal all my treasures? Are you still human? Does your conscience hurt? Is there a monk like you? Even demons aren't as despicable as you. Wu Wudi, come out. Come out immediately. Let me beat you to death. All of the victims were furious. They had never experienced something so humiliating in their lives. They hadn't even seen Wu Wudi, and yet they had been beaten up by that damned bald donkey. All their treasures were gone. It was a huge loss. They immediately formed an alliance of victims and formed groups to search for traces of Xia Ping in outer space, hoping to recover their treasures. But no matter how hard they searched, they couldn't find a single trace of Xia Ping. That was because the power of the formless mask was too great. It was silent and invisible. It wasn't something they could find with their power. Even a sage might not be able to do so. Some of the victims who were alone were even attacked by Xia Ping. They were beaten up and robbed of all their treasures. Even their clothes were shredded and they were hung upside down from trees. This kind of lawless behavior made them even more furious. He was looking down on them too much. This won't do. We can't deal with that bald donkey with our strength alone. That bald donkey's ability to conceal himself is too powerful. We have to get the elders here. Only the elders can deal with that damned bald donkey. Right, immediately inform the family elders. Get them to hurry over and capture that thief. Just you wait, bald donkey Wu Wudi. You can't escape. Even if you run to the ends of the earth, I'll definitely catch you. Chapter 1638. At this moment, outside the sealed grounds, countless geniuses were in an uproar in the Western Universe's camp. Fuck, that demonic monk Wu Wudi is out again. Damn it, he still hasn't learned his lesson and dares to come out again. Isn't he afraid of death? How can he learn his lesson? Whoever taught him a lesson can't even find him. That bald donkey is naturally very arrogant. I heard that countless people have fallen victim to him. The crimes he has committed are too many to count. Who knows how many geniuses have fallen victim to him? This time the Rainbow Phoenix race suffered the worst. All their feathers were plucked clean by him. That's nothing. A few beauties from the sheep race were knocked unconscious by him. Maybe they even fell victim to him. Fuck, that bald donkey is a beast. Didn't they say that monks don't lust after women? Do you think he's still a monk? He's a demonic monk, a demon. What doesn't he dare to do? Fuck, hurry up and tell the beauties of our race to hide. Otherwise he'll definitely take their virginity. Don't worry. Now that the elders of the major races have received the news, they're rushing over from all over the Dragonwood secret realm. It won't be long before that demonic monk is arrested. Once we catch this guy, I'll definitely let him taste what it means to wish for death. The geniuses discussed and gritted their teeth. They wanted nothing more than to arrest that Wu Wudi immediately. Unfortunately, they couldn't find his whereabouts at all. There was nothing they could do. Now they could only place their hopes on the elders. Only the elders had a chance of finding the demon monk Wu Wudi's whereabouts and getting rid of him. Otherwise, this bald monk might really be able to escape without a trace. If that were the case, they would definitely go crazy. Brother Xia. At this time, Xiongbo also heard the news. That bastard Wu Wudi has finally appeared again. I didn't expect him to have the guts to come out and commit crimes. How audacious. But luckily he's very brave. If he just hides like this, we might not even have a chance to take revenge. We can only watch him get away with it. Oh, there's such a thing? Hearing these words, Xia Ping's face was filled with righteous indignation. He shouted, "Where is that guy? I'll immediately go out and beat him up to avenge Brother Xiong." Tu Linglong and Qing Wan looked at Xia Ping with disdain. Who didn't know that Wu Wudi was this shameless human in disguise? Wasn't this a thief crying thief? It was shameless to the extreme. However, they didn't say anything. They were just very confused. Now that Xia Ping had made such a big move, everyone knew about it. What was it for? If Xia Ping said that he didn't have any ulterior motives, they would never believe it. This human was the kind of man who wouldn't get up without benefits. Brother Xia, don't worry. Xiongbo was very touched, but he still waved his hand and said, "That bald donkey is just a small character. Don't be fooled by the ruckus that's going on right now. It's just that we haven't found him yet. Once he's found, he'll definitely be beaten to a pulp by the angry crowd. At that time, Brother Xia won't even need to make a move. He'll be trampled to death by the angry crowd. Even if you want to queue up, you won't have the chance to beat him up." Xia Ping blinked. "In that case, you've already found him?" "Not yet, but it's only a matter of time. Right now, the elders of all the major races of the Western cosmos are flocking here. They're gathering in the camp and planning to have a meeting. I believe there will be a result soon. No matter how powerful that bald donkey is, he can't be more powerful than our race's elders. It's only a matter of time before he gets caught." Xiongbo chuckled. It was as if he could already see Wu Wuti being caught and beaten up. "I see." Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. It seemed like his plan was very successful. The elders of all the major races of the Western cosmos had been attracted here. It seemed like it was time to start the next step of his plan. "But Brother Xia will be busy capturing Wu Wuti for the next few days. I'm afraid we won't have time to accompany you in hunting dragon trees," Xiongbo said apologetically. In the past few days, they had been searching for uninfected dragon trees in the outer space of the sealed land. Infected dragon trees had viruses in their cores, so they couldn't be absorbed at all. However, it was too difficult to find an uninfected dragon tree in such a vast place. Many people couldn't find one even after 2 or 3 months and returned empty-handed. Therefore, they didn't find any dragon trees in the past 3 days. "It doesn't matter. It won't be too late to hunt dragon trees after we capture Wu Wuti." Xia Ping waved his hand, not caring at all. These days, he had already obtained a large amount of dragonwood origins by robbing the geniuses of the Western cosmos. There was no need for him to hunt them now. Of course, this matter naturally couldn't be exposed. "Alright, then I still have things to do. I'll be leaving first." Xiongbo immediately took his leave. He couldn't wait to meet the elders and capture Wu Wuti as soon as possible. "Xia Ping, what exactly are you planning? Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to control yourself by creating such a big scene?" Green Luan's divine sense transmitted. "Of course I'm going to create a big scene. You'll know very soon. That's when the big scene will be. However, you two can enter the space of the mountain river pearl first. We'll leave now." Xia Ping waved his hand and stored 2 Linglong and Green Luan into the space of the mountain river pearl. When the chaos started, he wouldn't have time to take care of the 2 of them. It was better to put them away as soon as possible. Several hours later, in a huge camp. At this moment, the elders of the major races of the Western cosmos had gathered in this camp. They were all at least in the Transcendence realm, and there were quite a few in the Thunder Tribulation realm. There were at least 3,000 of them. When these powerhouses gathered together, the aura they emitted was simply earth-shattering. Some juniors couldn't even get close to the core area. They could only stay in the periphery and listen quietly. Among this group of almighty experts, the strongest were none other than Elder Devourer Mammoth Wanshu, Elder Ruth of the Immortal Bird Tribe, and Elder Maples of the Nightmare Snake Tribe. All of them were almighty experts at the peak of the Tribulation Thunder realm. They were only a step away from the Sage realm. Heaven-devouring Mammoth Elder Wanshu stood in place like a mountain. His entire body was covered in terrifying mammoth runes. He had the aura to devour heaven and earth. Moreover, this was his shrunken form. If he returned to his original form, his body would be the size of 10 planets. The Phoenix Elder Ruth was also extremely frightening. Her entire body emitted red flames, and it was as if she was a living flame formed by fire runes. The temperature of her body had reached 6,000 degrees Celsius, which wasn't any lower than the temperature of the sun. It was said that this race had the characteristic of immortality. When the phoenix died, it would return to its egg form and then grow again. This cycle would never be extinguished. Nightmare Snake Elder Maples was also extremely terrifying. It was said that she came from a mysterious mystic realm called the Nightmare Realm. She had extremely powerful illusion abilities and could unknowingly drag the enemy into a dream. Often, the enemy would be killed by the Nightmare Snake unknowingly. Chapter 1639. Gathering us here for a mere gold core junior, isn't this a bit of a fuss? Undying Bird Ruth was very dissatisfied with this gathering. She thought that he was just a golden core junior. Even if he had done a lot of evil, how bad could he be? It was too much to make so many powerhouses gather here. That's right. I think the culprit this time is the Luohan clansmen. The Luohan should be the ones to step forward and solve this matter, not us. Nightmare Snake Maples pointed the spearhead at the Luohan clansmen. She had a pair of red vertical pupils that emitted a dangerous aura. That's not right. Hearing this, the Luohan elder Daoxin stood up. From beginning to end, that demon Wu Wudi never said he was from the Luohan clan. He's just bald. Not all bald people in the world are from the Luohan clan. You're being biased. Even if he really is from the Luohan clan, he has already been expelled from the Luohan clan for doing such evil things. He can't be considered one of our clansmen. Even if you want to find someone to blame, you won't be able to find us. He was very dissatisfied. He didn't want the Luohan clan to take the blame for this matter. After all, with so many races in the Western universe angry, no matter how powerful the Luohan clan was, they wouldn't be able to withstand it. Daoxin, you monks don't know much else, but you're very good at shifting the blame. If it wasn't for the Luohan clan, how could such a demon appear? If you don't take the blame, who will? Properly review your education policies. Nightmare Snake Maples sneered, not letting the Luohan clan off. Enough. At that moment, Elder Mammoth Wanshu said, "We're here to deal with that demonic monk Wu Wudi, not to fight amongst ourselves. Whether we need to review the Luohan clan's responsibility or not, we can discuss it after we catch that demonic monk." Hearing this, the surrounding elders didn't say anything, demonstrating Mammoth Wanshu's authority. Even among the many tribulation lightning experts, Mammoth Wanshu was a top expert. He was known as the one with the highest chance of becoming a saint. His strength was tyrannical. Even the saints gave him some face, believing that he would be on equal footing with the saints in the future. Elder Xiang, it's not that easy to capture the demonic monk Wu Wudi. A peacock elder stood up and said, "Previously the elders of our peacock clan, elephant clan and antelope clan all wanted to capture Wu Wudi, but we couldn't find a single trace of him. It was as if he had vanished from the face of the earth. If I'm not wrong, Wu Wudi should be proficient in the art of transformation. He can transform into various objects at will, and he's also good at concealing his tracks and aura. That's why we haven't found anything yet." It voiced its conjecture. In fact, after capturing Xiaoping for such a long time, they had more or less guessed something. Proficient in the art of transformation. It's not that easy to master the art of transformation. Quite a few elders were a bit shocked, because mastering the transformation technique required top-notch talent. If one wanted to transform into another object, they needed to know all of the properties of that object like the back of their hands. If he didn't have top-notch talent, he would only end up like a dog instead of a snake and make a fool of himself. He's a demonic monk after all. Since he dares to provoke so many races of our Western cosmos, it's normal for him to have some ability. But if that's the case, how are we going to capture him? That's right. If the other party is a genius who is proficient in the art of transformation and can turn into rocks, trees, birds and even gravel, how are we going to find him? It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. Many of the elders were in a difficult position. That little thief wasn't a big threat, but he was proficient in the art of transformation and was good at hiding his tracks. They couldn't find any traces of him. If they couldn't find the other party's true body, then there was nothing they could do. Don't worry. Mammoth Manyvoid's eyes shone with a bright light. I thought about that a long time ago. I set up a heaven-piercing, earth-piercing grand spell formation to lock down the entire area. It doesn't matter where the brat hides, he won't be able to escape. The all-seeing destruction formation. The hearts of all the elders immediately trembled. Extravagant, this was definitely extravagant. This kind of formation's power was limitless, able to connect the heavens and penetrate the earth, imprint the void and understand yin and yang. Once it was set up, it could lock down the entire area for 50,000 kilometers. At that point, it wouldn't matter where the brat hid or what he turned into, even if he was a speck of dust. If the brat tried to do anything out of the ordinary, he would be reduced to dust, with nowhere to hide. That way they wouldn't have to worry about the brat escaping. Of course, setting up a spell formation like that required a huge amount of resources. Ordinary almighty beings wouldn't be able to afford it. However, Mammoth Manyvoids was willing to do so, which was a testament to his determination and wealth. It was a testament to the boldness of a half-step demon sage. So that's how it is. I never would have guessed that Elder Mammoth would have such a plan. That's a relief. Once we set up the spell formation, the little thief will have nowhere to run. It seems Elder Mammoth has a card up his sleeve. In that case, we'll naturally do our best to help. The elders nodded in approval of the plan. Thank you for your help, fellow Taoists. Mammoth Many Voids nodded, his eyes flashing with cold light. The only reason he was willing to set up the heaven-piercing, earth-piercing grand spell formation was because he wasn't a benevolent old man who was willing to get revenge for a junior. According to the information he'd gathered, the demonic monk Wu Wudi was incredibly strong, and had learned a mysterious breathing technique that had something to do with godmamoths. Mammoth Many Voids couldn't help but pant when he heard the news. If he wasn't mistaken, the reason why humans were stronger than the mammoths was because they had learned the legendary divine mammoth breathing technique, which had been lost for tens of thousands of years. The breathing technique pointed directly to the Great Tao, and had once been a top-secret technique of the mammoths. If the heaven-devouring mammoths could get their hands on it, they would advance by leaps and bounds, and their strength would increase several-fold. Mammoth Many Voids were at the peak of the Tribulation Lightning level, only half a step away from the Demon Sage level. If they could get their hands on the divine mammoth breathing technique, they would definitely be able to pry into the sage level. Regardless of what happened, the demonic monk Wu Wudi was definitely in the bag. He had to capture him and interrogate him about the secret technique. Of course, this was a top secret of the mammoths, and it was only natural that no outsider would know about it. Otherwise, with so many almighty experts present, they would definitely want a piece of the pie. However, there were also some elders who were suspicious of Mammoth Many Voids' actions, and could tell that something fishy was going on. Strange. Since when did Mammoth Many Voids become so generous and proactive? He's not like that. He won't do anything without benefits. He's definitely up to something. He must have discovered some secrets on Wu Wudi. Interesting. Let's keep an eye on him. If he finds any treasures, we'll want a piece of the pie. We can't let him have it all for himself. The undying bird, the nightmare snake, and the other almighty experts were communicating via divine sense. Of course, they didn't make any moves and pretended not to notice anything. Chapter 1640. Several hours later, finally I can start. Xia Ping once again arrived at the core area of the sealed grounds. He stared at the zombie beast trapped in the dimensional cage. The zombie beast seemed to have sensed the familiar aura from Xia Ping and became agitated again. It let out a roar that caused the surrounding chains to rumble and tremble. A huge amount of black aura was emitted from its body. It rumbled like smoke and corroded the space around it. Let's begin. Xia Ping didn't even look at it. He immediately took out a Saint-class restriction-breaking talisman and activated his powers. In the blink of an eye, the talisman sank into the core of the sealing formation. After doing all that, his body flickered and he left the place. At the same time, he activated the Formless Mask's ability and turned into a grain of sand hiding in the ground. Boom. The moment the Saint-class restriction-breaking talisman entered the sealing formation, it immediately emitted an endless amount of cold light. The cold light was like a peerless sword chi, piercing through the sky and destroying everything. The originally sturdy sealing formation was now as fragile as tofu. In an instant, it was sliced into countless pieces and completely disintegrated. The cage that bound the zombie beast shattered like glass, and the sealing chains on its body also completely shattered, making a clattering sound. The formation that was tens of thousands of miles in circumference collapsed in an instant. Countless true dragons formed from Yuan Qi howled and fell from the sky as if they had died. The surrounding vital energy surged, the wind blew and the clouds surged. A terrifying storm swept up and the earth cracked. The zombie beast was extremely excited. It let out a deafening roar that seemed to shake the entire dragonwood secret realm. With its body as the center, a terrifying sound wave was produced. Layer after layer, it raised everything within thousands of miles to the ground. Trees were all turned into dust and mountains were flattened. After being trapped for tens of thousands of years, the zombie beast finally regained its freedom. Even though it didn't have much intelligence, it didn't mean that it didn't have emotions. It was feeling the joy of freedom. The corroded dragonwood trees and zombie beasts all let out excited roars. Terrifying demonic chi surged out of their bodies as if they were welcoming the birth of their master. Such a shocking turn of events immediately shocked many of the supreme beings in the sealed grounds. Damn it, the formation sealing the corpse beast is broken. The undying bird's expression changed. As one of the divine beasts of the fire element, it was extremely sensitive to evil auras. Thus, it had sensed the corpse beast the moment it broke the seal. What's going on? This grand spell formation was set up by a saint. Even after hundreds of millions of years, it wouldn't have deteriorated. Why did it suddenly shatter? Elder Mammoth Mini-Void's expression was extremely unsightly. He knew how terrifying the corpse beast was. Even a saint would be afraid of it. Even though it had been sealed for tens of millions of years, the corpse beast was still alive and kicking. One could totally imagine how terrifying this monster was. Once this monster broke free, it would definitely cause a great catastrophe. Someone must have broken through the seal. If there's no external help, with just the strength of that corpse beast, it won't be able to escape even after countless years. The Nightmare Snake said in a low voice. The Nightmare Snake was extremely familiar with sealing spell formations, and knew exactly how terrifying this one was. It was a spell formation created by a saint at full power, and could even seal a saint who's so bold as to throw their lives away. Don't they know that this monster is a catastrophe that can't be released? Is that guy crazy? One of the elders shouted in terror. At the same time, he was infuriated by the fact that someone had broken the corpse beast seal. Demonic monk Wu Wuti. One of the peacock folk elders shouted. A peacock race elder shouted, I was wondering why that bastard would offend so many races of our western cosmos for no reason. That bastard wanted to lure us here, break the seal on the corpse beasts and bury us here. It's a trap. It's a death trap for almighty experts like us. What? The elders snapped out of their daze and thought back to everything that had happened. All sorts of clues began to appear in their minds, like a huge black net. That was especially true of Mammoth Many Voids. He couldn't help but clench his fists, wondering if the information about the divine mammoth breathing technique had been leaked on purpose. If that was true, then the mastermind behind the scenes was too terrifying. He was an expert at manipulating people's hearts. No way. That bastard actually dared to plot against us. How audacious. If he released that corpse beast, he'll be the enemy of the entire universe. Even a saint will kill him. What a fool. He's crazy. He doesn't know what he's doing. Many of the elders cursed and cursed. They wanted nothing more than to capture Wu Wuti and tear him to pieces. He might not be crazy, one of the elders said. We still don't know who Wu Wuti really is. What if he's one of Titania's subordinates, and he came here on purpose to release the corpse beast? What? Everyone shivered when they heard this. Everyone knew who Titania was. She was a universal fugitive, and not even a saint could kill her. Her name struck terror into the hearts of all who heard it. If Wu Wuti was one of the mad dragonfolk scientists' subordinates, then it wasn't impossible for him to come here and release the corpse beast seal. Furthermore, the seal had been set up by a saint. Not even tribulation lightning experts like them could undo it. Even getting close to the seal was an extravagant hope. If Wu Wuti didn't have the backing of a saint, then how could he possibly break the seal? However, the more they thought about it, the more terrified they became. It was almost as if they had fallen into a trap set up by a saint, and if they weren't careful, they would be wiped out. It doesn't matter who he is, Mammoth Many Voids said. Now that the corpse beast has escaped, we have to take care of it. If it really does escape the Dragonwood Pocket Realm, then the Western Universe will be finished. We can't allow that to happen, Mammoth Many Voids said. This wasn't the time for the various races of the Western Universe to be at loggerheads with each other. If the corpse beast escaped, it could easily kill countless people. This is a serious matter. We need to notify the saints immediately. But the Dragonwood Pocket Realm is sealed by a grand formation, and the saints are all busy. They're either wandering or in seclusion. Even if we wanted to notify them, it would take some time. Don't worry. The corpse beast has only just broken the seal, so it's extremely weak. We should be able to suppress it for now. That's right. Once the saints come and apply the seal, we'll be able to take care of it. That damned Wu Wuti. How dare he do something so heinous? No one will forgive him. Chapter 1641. Rumble. The corpse beasts launched an all-out assault on the Western Universe's various races. The horde of corpses under their control roared as they surged forward like a tidal wave. That was especially true of the corroded dragonwood trees. Their auras combined to form spell formations that transformed into terrifying black dragons that let out heaven-shaking, earth-shattering roars. It's over. The Western Universe's chosen paled at the sight of the incoming tide of corpses. There were more than 100 million of them, and their sheer numbers alone were enough to overwhelm them. The most frightening thing about the corpses wasn't their combat prowess, but their ability to infect others. Once they were injured, they would immediately become one of the corpses. That was what terrified them the most. Attack. Activate the all-seeing destruction grand formation. Mammoth Mini-Voids barked orders to the almighty experts present. Only the almighty experts in the Transcendence realm and above could deal with the horde of corpses. The juniors would only be a hindrance and wouldn't be of much help. Thankfully, they'd set up the spell formation in time to deal with Xia Ping. Otherwise, they didn't know what else they could do to stop the horde of corpses. In the blink of an eye, the grand formation of heaven and earth appeared, covering an area of 50,000 kilometers. It created a spatial cage that stretched from the sky to the ground, filled with countless magical symbols. The 3,000 almighty experts in the Transcendence realm were scattered throughout the area, which served as nodes for the spell formation. They poured their own energy into it to power it. When this great formation was activated, a majestic force came crashing down from the void. It was as if stars were crashing down, causing the surroundings to explode crazily, destroying everything in its path. It seemed to be destroying every inch of the void in this space. Bang, bang, bang. One corpses after another were crushed to dust, unable to hold out for even a second. In just a few breaths of time, more than 10 million corpses had been killed and reduced to ash. Thousands of fissures appeared on the ground, constantly splitting open and turning into abyssal fissures. All of the mountains within a radius of 100,000 kilometers were flattened, turning into a flat plain. Rocks were shattered into dust, causing rumbling sounds to ring out. The power of the spell formation was clear to see. Ah! Foolish corpses. How dare they oppose us? We'll definitely win. As long as the elders are here, those zombies are just cannon fodder. No matter how many come, they'll all die. The prodigies of the Western cosmos were extremely excited. As long as the array was activated a few more times and killed a few more times, these zombie monsters would probably be wiped out and would no longer pose much of a threat. Not bad. Xia Ping, who was hiding in the dark, also saw this scene. He touched his chin and was also shocked by the power of this array. It was worthy of being the means of a mighty figure. Even a Thunder Retribution Realm mighty figure would be killed by it. However, he was not worried that this formation would be able to kill the zombie beast. If the zombie beast was a monster that could be killed so easily, the sages would have destroyed it long ago instead of sealing it. Brr. Sure enough, when the corpse beast saw this, it became even more enraged. It let out a roar and, like a violent ape, its body began to surge with dark, evil power. In the blink of an eye, it covered the surrounding 50,000 kilometers. Sizzle, the black smoke was terrifyingly corrosive and seemed to have a life of its own. It turned into thousands of black dragons and pounced towards the group of powerful beings. Not good. Hide. Mammoth Mini-Voids and the other powerful beings' faces flickered as they sensed that the black smoke was far from ordinary. It contained evil, darkness, corrosion, curses, nothingness, infection, and more. It was not something that ordinary methods could defend against. Their bodies flickered as they dodged to the side. However, some of the powerful beings were caught off guard and were too close to the zombie beast. All they could do was unleash defensive divine abilities in an attempt to keep the black smoke at bay. Unfortunately, their efforts were futile. Not even the spell formation could stop the black smoke, and it pierced through their shields and into their bodies. One powerful being after another let out blood-curdling screams, their faces twisted with rage. In just a few breaths of time, their blood vessels had been corroded, and they had been transformed into zombie monsters. This was the zombie beast's unique infection ability, a bloodline divine ability. If the zombie beast went all out, it could turn its enemies into its dependents. Of course, doing this required a huge amount of the zombie beast's essence energy. It was a move that killed 1,000 enemies, but harmed 800 of its own. However, after using this move, the zombie beast's power had been greatly depleted. It was now gasping for breath, and its devilish might was no longer as overwhelming as it had been before. However, it was worth it. Close to a third of the powerful beings had been infected, and had been transformed into zombie monsters. They had lost all sense of reason and power. Bam, bam, bam. Without the powerful beings to maintain the spell formation, the heaven-piercing, earth-piercing grand formation collapsed from the inside, and the surrounding spell formation space shattered like glass. It's over. A third of the powerful beings have been turned into zombie monsters. Damnation! How are we supposed to fight this? It's been sealed for so many years. How can this zombie beast still be so terrifying? It's not scary. Why would the sages be so afraid of it? Why would they seal it here? Wu Wuti, that despicable bastard. It's all because of that shameless bastard. We can't spare him. We can't spare that demonic monk. We have to find him and tear him to pieces. Don't waste your breath here. Even if we want to kill this demonic monk now, there's nothing we can do. Right now we can only do our best to stall this corpse beast until the sage arrives. Otherwise, if it manages to escape from the Dragonwood secret realm, the entire Western cosmos will be doomed. The various supreme beings gnashed their teeth, hating Xia Ping to the extreme. If it wasn't for this brat breaking the seal, how could such a thing have happened, causing them to suffer heavy losses and countless casualties? Unfortunately, now wasn't the time to go after Xia Ping. They had to deal with the zombie beast first. There's no other way. I can't hold back. I have to use my sage item. Mammoth Manyvoid's eyes flashed with cold light as he made up his mind. He took out a giant black hammer that was covered in dense black runes. These black runes were like black elephants that emitted a terrifying aura. It was as if the sky was being torn apart. No way. Are you kidding me? Don't tell me that's the Heaven Splitter hammer? The almighty being's eyelids twitched. They were all experienced and knowledgeable people, so it didn't take long for them to recognize it as the signature magical treasure of the heaven-devouring mammoths, the Heaven Splitter hammer. Rumor had it that the weapon contained the might of a sage, and that a single swing of the hammer could shatter a planet. Its attack power was terrifying beyond belief. Chapter 1642. Well done, Mammoth Manyvoids. I never would have guessed that you'd even bring out the Sky Splitter hammer, a holy item of the heaven-devouring mammoths. What a grand display. Looks like I can't hold back any longer. Undying Phoenix frowned. She waved her hand and a crimson flag appeared in her hand. It pulsed with the power of fire, and the vague image of a vermilion bird could be seen on the flag. A holy item, the vermilion bird banner. Mammoth Manyvoid said, visibly shocked. The vermilion bird banner was a holy item of the Undying Phoenix tribe. When it was used, it possessed the might of a vermilion bird, capable of scorching the 5 regions with raging flames. It was a terrifying magical item that was no weaker than the Sky Splitter hammer. The Nightmare Snake's expression was grave, and it could sense that the two of them posed a huge threat. Holy items were simply too powerful, and the difference in battle prowess was like the difference between heaven and earth. If she fought them, she wouldn't be able to hold out for very long. Thankfully, the enemy was the corpse beast, otherwise she would have to worry about her own safety. Enough chit-chat, Undying Phoenix said, her expression grave. Let's deal with the corpse beast first. We can't let it get any stronger or we'll all die. You're right. Let's join forces. Mammoth Manyvoids could sense how powerful the corpse beast was, and knew that it had limitless potential. Without any hesitation, he swung the Sky Splitter hammer and smashed it down toward the corpse beast. Instantly, the air around him was expelled, forming a vacuum in a 5,000-kilometer radius around him. The terrifying power of the attack was sucked in. Boom. It was a single attack, but the ground cracked and caved in for thousands of meters. The surrounding corpse beasts were pulverized into dust, as if everything had been turned into nothingness. The attack seemed capable of piercing through the earth itself. The Undying Phoenix said, waving the vermilion bird banner. Wind and cloud stir, cosmos anchor, yin-yang twist, and a terrifying heaven and earth flame formation sprang into being. At this moment, huge scarlet pillars of fire rose from all 4 directions. They were tens of thousands of feet tall. These 4 pillars of fire resonated with each other, forming a terrifying fiery domain. Within this fiery domain, terrifying flames rose in all directions, condensing into small vermilion birds. The corpse monsters were all incinerated by the vermilion bird's flames, and within a few breaths of time, they were reduced to ashes, no longer existing. Even the Western Universe's almighties who had turned into zombies couldn't withstand the power of the flames and were burned to death. Is this the might of a sacred artifact? It is indeed extraordinary. Xia Ping, who was far away, was also secretly shocked. This was the first time he had seen the power of a complete saint artifact. It was not something that ordinary people could withstand. If the saint artifact unleashed its might, even a planet would be completely destroyed. Xia Ping was not the only one who was shocked. The surrounding geniuses from the Western cosmos were also shocked. At the same time, they were also incomparably excited. With a sacred artifact in hand, dealing with these zombie monsters would likely not be an issue. Roar. Howling, the corpse beast transformed into a 9,000-meter-long black ape, which lunged toward the undying bird and Mammoth Manyvoids with incredible speed. It instinctively told itself that as long as these 2 enemies were taken care of, the remaining enemies were nothing to be afraid of. Die, you freak! Mammoth Manyvoids shouted. Hefting his heaven-splitter hammer, he swung it toward the corpse beast with enough power to shatter stars. Boom. The corpse beast didn't even try to dodge. Instead, it took the attack head-on, and was sent flying several thousand meters into the ground. Massive rumbling sounds could be heard as the ground caved in. However, a moment later, the corpse beast leaped out of the ground, looking as lively as a dragon or a tiger. How is this possible? It didn't do anything? Mammoth Many Voids almost couldn't believe his eyes. The heaven-splitter hammer he wielded contained the power of an early sage-class expert. Even the grand protective spell formation of a small sect would be destroyed by a single swing of his hammer. But now the corpse beast wasn't dead. It was simply inconceivable. "Allow me," Undying Bird said, waving her vermilion bird banner. Crimson flames transformed into the image of a vermilion bird, which let out a piercing cry as it pounced on the corpse beast. This was vermilion bird divine flame, something that could burn anything. Not even Samadhi true fire could compare to it. Most objects in the world would be incinerated into ash by this type of flame. Roar! The corpse beast shrieked. Clearly, the vermilion bird divine flame was working against it. Its entire body was engulfed in flames, burning away every single cell in its body. It's working? It's about to be burned to death. Many of the chosen from the Western cosmos were overjoyed to see the corpse beast's body slowly evaporate as it shrank. At the same time, black smoke began to rise from its body. As the vermilion bird divine flame shrank, the corpse beast vanished. However, before they could rejoice for long, the black smoke coalesced back into the corpse beast, this one even more powerful than before. Damn it! That monster really is indestructible. Not even the vermilion bird divine flame can kill it. The undying bird had a very serious expression on her face. The vermilion bird divine flame was one of the most powerful flames in the world, and possessed terrifying destructive power. Even sages feared it and wouldn't dare to face it head-on. But now it couldn't kill this corpse beast. It was too terrifying. I refuse to believe that this monster can't be killed. Furious, Mammoth Many Voids swung his heaven-splitter hammer at the corpse beast. Die. Undying Bird said, gritting her teeth. Drawing on all the power she could muster, she unleashed the vermilion bird banner, causing the vermilion bird divine flame to erupt with even more power. Let's kill the corpse beast, the nightmare snake said, gritting her teeth. The surrounding almighty experts joined forces to deal a fatal blow to the corpse beast. Although they weren't as strong as Mammoth Many Voids and Undying Bird, with their sage items, they were still no match for the corpse beast. Even so, the combined power of so many almighty experts was nothing to scoff at. In the blink of an eye, terrifying beams of light shot out in all directions as they unleashed their ultimate killing techniques, each one powerful enough to rend a planet to pieces. Tens of thousands of beams of light shot toward the corpse beast, as if they were trying to destroy the world. The corpse beast wasn't willing to be outdone. Relying on its undying body, it fought back fearlessly. Xia Ping had been watching everything unfold from the shadows, not wanting to miss a single opportunity. Not bad, he said, narrowing his eyes in satisfaction. Keep fighting. Whittle away at the corpse beast's energy. Xia Ping's eyes narrowed in satisfaction. Although the corpse beast had an undying body, it had been sealed for so long that it was extremely weak. Now that it was being attacked by a group of almighty experts, it was even weaker. It wouldn't be long before the corpse beast reached its weakest point, and Yang Qi would be able to take advantage of the situation. The almighty experts were in the same boat. Whittling away at the corpse beast's energy wasn't going to be an easy task. Even if Undying Bird and Mammoth Many Voids had sage items, they wouldn't be able to use them for very long. In fact, it wouldn't be long before they ran out of energy. It's about time, Mammoth Many Voids said. Chapter 1643. Rumble. Mammoth Many Voids and the others slammed into the corpse beast again, and both sides were sent flying backward, coughing up blood. The almighty experts of the Western universe were all seriously injured, and had lost 99% of their magic. Originally there had been 3,000 almighty experts, but now only 800 remained. In fact, the ones who were left were basically the remnants of the defeated army, their bodies heavily injured. Even Mammoth Many Voids, Ruth, and the other almighty experts in the tribulation level were weak. After all, sage items were incredibly powerful, but they also consumed a shocking amount of magic. After using them dozens if not hundreds of times, they couldn't keep up. The corpse beast wasn't having a good time either. Although it had an undying body, it had consumed more than half of its power and was growing weaker and weaker. Its strength had been declining from the Thunder Retribution realm to the Golden Core realm. The dark evil energy on its body had weakened significantly, and it was panting heavily. Ah! Damn corpse beast. Even if it's strong, we still managed to suppress it. It's so weak right now that it's only as strong as the Gold Core level. There's no way it can fight us. We might not be able to kill it, but we can seal it up and wait for the sages to come. We've won this war. The almighty experts were all very excited. Although the battle had been fierce and there had been countless casualties, they had at least managed to stop the universal calamity. Of course, they were also filled with grief and indignation. So many almighty experts were powerful enough to dominate the universe, and yet they had been forced into such dire straits by a single monster. Let's do it. Seal the corpse beast. Mammoth Manyvoids' eyes flickered with cold light as he prepared to draw on the last bit of magical power he had left to seal the corpse beast and prevent it from causing any future problems. That's enough, he said, his eyes flickering with cold light. The heavens are merciful, so stop killing. It was at this point that a voice could be heard, like the sound of morning bells and evening drums. A figure appeared in front of everyone, stopping Mammoth Manyvoids and the other almighty experts from attacking. It was none other than Xiaoping. Kill your head. Where did this dog monk come from? Do you know what kind of monster this is? You still want us to stop? Is there something wrong with your fucking brain? A powerhouse cursed. He wanted nothing more than to kill this guy. In order to seal this zombie beast, they had fought with their lives on the line, suffered countless casualties and paid a heavy price. They were about to succeed, but this dog monk actually jumped out and told them to stop. How was that possible? If this zombie beast were to escape and wreak havoc in the Western universe, who would bear the responsibility and consequences? Why bother? Killing won't solve any problems. Why don't you give me some face and stop for now? Xiaoping bowed with his hands clasped in front of him and smiled. He looked like an accomplished monk, hoping that everyone would give him face. Who are you? We have to give you face. Get lost immediately. Don't make us angry. Do you want to die? Where did this idiot come from? Don't you know what's going on? Lohan, is this guy from Buddhism? Why don't you take him away for treatment? What are you doing here? The almighty experts were speechless. Not a single one of them knew who this guy was. Who knew where this monk had popped out of nowhere, and yet he wanted them to give him face? Didn't he have any self-awareness? Hold on. If I'm not mistaken, your name is Wu Wudi. Mammoth Manyvoid's eyes narrowed as he stared at Xiaoping. What? Quite a few almighty experts were shocked to hear this. The name Wu Wudi was like a thunderclap piercing their ears. After all, wasn't this bastard Wu Wudi responsible for all of this trouble? If it weren't for him, how could so many almighty experts have been killed? I never would have guessed that Elder Mammoth doesn't know this humble monk's name. It's an honor, Xiaoping said with a beaming smile, as if he were overwhelmed by the unexpected favor. Of course, by saying this, he was admitting that he was Wu Wudi. So it really is that bastard. After doing something like this, he still dares to show himself? What an audacious knave. Now that you've appeared in front of us, do you think you have something to fear? I couldn't find you when you were hiding earlier, but now you've come out like an idiot? You're courting death. Attack. Kill this brat. Tear him to pieces. Avenge our fallen comrades. The almighty experts were enraged when they realized Xiaoping's identity. Some of the more hot-tempered ones couldn't hold back any longer, and immediately attacked Xiaoping. Dragon Trapping Pillar. Xiaoping waved his hand and took out his peerless spirit artifact, the Dragon Trapping Pillar. As soon as this magic treasure appeared, with the Dragon Trapping Pillar as the center, the area within a radius of 100,000 li was surrounded by a huge golden energy barrier, forming an absolute domain. This was the equalization domain. What? The almighty experts were shocked to find that their cultivation bases were dropping at a rate visible to the naked eye. All of them were now at the peak of the Golden Core realm. Even the Tribulation Lightning experts were greatly affected. They felt their magic power being suppressed, and the space around them had turned into a swamp. Every step they took required a lot of energy. Damn it! What did you do to us? A Tiger Dharma characteristic mighty figure was alarmed and furious. He could not understand why his realm had dropped to the Golden Core realm. It was as if his dharmic powers had been sealed and he could only use the power of the Golden Core realm. Don't move. You'll die. Xiaoping advised out of goodwill. Die my ass. This must be some kind of illusion. Do you think you can scare us? I've eaten more than you've walked. Immediately, a few hot-tempered almighty experts were enraged. They thought that this was some kind of illusion and they wanted to use force to destroy the illusion completely. Swoosh. In the blink of an eye, 5 Transcendence Realm powerhouses flew out. They used their ultimate techniques and channeled their dermic powers. Terrifying killing moves blasted out like streams of light. Xiaoping didn't even look at them. He punched through the void, causing the void to tremble. There seemed to be an elephant roaring in the depths of hell, producing terrifying power. Dong. The 5 Dharma Plane experts didn't even get close to Xiaoping. They were only 5 kilometers away when their bodies exploded, turning into meat paste. They didn't even have time to scream. They died just like that. For Xiaoping, killing a golden core enlightened master was no different from killing a few chickens. This? Mammoth Mini Voids and the others narrowed their eyes. They could clearly sense that the 5 Dharma Plane experts had died. Their nascent spirits had been destroyed. They couldn't be more dead. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.